Good morning. I am Ward 4 Councilmember Janeese George, Chair of the Committee on Facilities. It is 9:30 a.m. on Thursday, February 12th, 2026, and we are holding this performance oversight hearing for the Department of Parks and Recreation via virtual format, via Zoom. Today, we will be hearing from public witnesses only, and government witnesses will testify and answer questions during the government portion of this hearing, which will occur on Thursday, March 3rd. This hearing is being broadcast live on the council's website as well as janeeseward4.com/live. Here are some brief reminders for witnesses who are participating. All witnesses participating in this Zoom webinar are currently listed as attendees. When it's your turn to join a panel for testimony, I will call your name and a member of my staff will promote you to be a panelist. If you wish to activate your video, which is our preference here at the Committee on Facilities, you need to click the button in the toolbar at the bottom of your screen that looks like a video camera. If you have any technical issues during the hearing, please notify my committee staff either via the Q&A function in Zoom or by sending an email to facilities@dccouncil.gov. Public witnesses from bona fide organizations will be given 5 minutes to testify. Public witnesses from the same bona fide organizations will be given 3 minutes, and all other public witnesses will be given 3 minutes. When your time is up, I ask that you please conclude your remarks so that we can stay on schedule. I ask witnesses to share their pronouns if you're comfortable doing so before testimony, so my colleagues and I do not misidentify you. All testimony and pre-hearing documents that have been submitted are available now on the council's hearing management system. Witnesses are reminded to please submit a written copy of your testimony for the record by either uploading your testimony to the council's hearing management system or emailing facilities@dccouncil.gov. The record for this hearing closes at 5 p.m. on Thursday, March 19th. Now we can begin our hearing. Every neighborhood in every ward is impacted by the Department of Parks and Recreation. Within 80 recreation centers, 35 pools and aquatic centers, 20 dog parks, and 107 playgrounds, and 110 athletic fields, and more being planned, designed, and built, DPR provides free access to indoor and outdoor spaces for over 700,000 district residents. Within these facilities, DPR also offers dozens of programming options for residents of all ages and interests, serves thousands of meals to our youth during the summer, and coordinates dozens of out-of-time school providers during the academic year. Given this large and diverse footprint, it is essential the significant amount of money district taxpayers spend on DPR is used efficiently, effectively, and with the wants and needs of our residents always top of mind. I'll have a longer opening statement during the government witness hearing. I've had the opportunity to review DPR's responses to the almost 200 oversight questions I will be receiving next week. But for now, I'm looking forward to hearing directly from district residents and advocates on what DPR is doing right, what more DPR should be doing, and what DPR needs to do differently. Given the large number of witnesses, I may not ask every witness or panel questions, but I encourage everyone to highlight what specific information you'd like DPR to know today and what information you'd like DPR to start to be ready to share during their hearing on March 5th. With that, I'd like to recognize if there's any colleagues who are present. Seeing none of my colleagues present at the moment, we will move to our first panel of witnesses. This first panel of witnesses will include Trupti Patel, ANC Commissioner of Single Member District 2803, Eileen Dowdery, the President of the Washington, D.C. Pickleball, Cheryl Holly, Washington, D.C. Pickleball, Limdor Darlington, the volunteer, Washington, D.C. Pickleball, and Ruth Ellis, board member of Washington, D.C. Pickleball. I want to thank you all for being here. And I do not see Commissioner Patel at the moment. And so, Ms. Dowdery, we will actually start with you. Good morning, and you may begin your testimony.
Good morning, Chairperson and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify this morning. My name is Eileen Doherty. I am a Ward 6 resident, and I am on the executive committee of Washington, D.C. Pickleball. WDCP is now in its fourth year of advocating for access to pickleball throughout DC. We work closely with DPR, and we are members of a DPR-led advisory committee on how to increase pickleball access. In 2023, we successfully advocated for the $750,000 the mayor included in her budget for pickleball infrastructure. We're working with DPR to make sure those funds are distributed equitably across the city so they benefit the most number of residents. The progress has been slow, but we are hopeful that this spring construction should start on some of the new courts. We ask this committee to help us keep this project on track and make sure that the funding is indeed spent in 2026. As demand for pickleball continues to grow, we've worked closely with DPR to increase programming throughout the city, both at outdoor tennis courts with hybrid pickleball lines and indoor at basketball and recreation centers. For one example, this year DPR agreed to add 2 days at the Kappa Recreation Center, giving us 4 days in total of 2 hours each day. And those courts are literally packed every single day. But as Ruth Ellis will testify, more needs to be done on the programming side. WDCP is not just advocating, we're also giving back to the city that all of us care so much about. This past fall, when many of our players and many residents were out of work, we ran a citywide food drive putting donation buckets at 3 of our busiest rec centers. 3 years ago, Capitol Hill Village approached one of our members with their concerns. Some of the players who played pickleball were slowing down and they just wanted to stay involved, but they couldn't. So we started a Parkinson's program for pickleball players, which is now called Adaptive Pickleball. That runs out of the Rosedale Rec Center. Also, later in testimony, you will hear about our Pickleball in DC Jails program, which was also started several years ago. WDC players are also investing directly in DC's infrastructure. On an abandoned stretch of Virginia Avenue, a group of mostly senior players started playing pickleball in 2018, but the road was in disrepair and unsafe. 2.5 years ago, we partnered with the Capitol Riverfront Bid to form a community-inclusive stakeholders group and apply for a public space permit through DDOT to transform that road into permanent pickleball courts. The permit was approved this past fall, designating that section of Virginia Avenue as a public plaza in perpetuity. In just 3 months, WDC players have raised over $100,000, and we are well on our way to meeting a stretch goal to create 5 dedicated pickleball courts with lights that will service not only Capitol Hill, but the Navy Yard and the city at large. They will be permanently public courts. Our next advocacy focus will be on securing both outdoor and indoor pickleball access at the new athletic facility planned for the RFK campus. This once-in-a-generation opportunity offers the city a unique opportunity to give a permanent home to the fastest growing sport in the country. Cheryl Holly will testify more on that. Thank you for this work on this committee and for helping to ensure that DC parks and rec centers remain vibrant and vital spaces that create and strengthen the community. WDCP is proud to partner with you in that mission.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Really exciting to hear some of the ways you all have been giving back to the community. Really appreciate highlighting that. Next, we will hear from Cheryl Holly. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Chairwoman and members of the council. My name is Cheryl Braxton Holly, and I am a lifelong Washingtonian and resident of Ward 7. I'm here today as a resident of Ward 7 and a pickleball player to urge the council to include a dedicated, purpose-built pickleball facility in the new stadium complex. Currently, DC pickleball players rely on borrowed space, converting tennis courts at the Southeast Tennis Learning Center or utilizing shared facilities at Rock Creek Park. While we are deeply grateful for those opportunities, these temporary arrangements cannot meet the growing demand for pickleball access in our city, nor can it serve nor can they serve as a foundation for the kind of organized programming and community development that a true facility would make possible. Pickleball is more than a recreational trend. It's one of the fastest growing sports in the nation, bringing together players across generations. But in high participation, it also means high court demand. Currently, players often wait long periods to play, which limits growth and discourages participation in youth and school programs. A dedicated facility, pickleball facility, will provide permanent, properly designed courts that meet tournament needs. Serve as a hub for after school pickleball programs, giving students a positive outlet and introducing them to a lifetime sport. We can also host local and regional tournaments, attracting players and visitors to DC, boosting our local economy. Offer accessible recreation for all ages and abilities from young families to active seniors, which I am, social environment. A permanent pickleball complex will not only activate the new stadium grounds, but also make this facility a true year-round community anchor. Between tournaments, clinics, open play sessions, and introductory programs, the courts will be alive with activity every day of the week. I can guarantee you that. Unlike many sports, pickleball requires minimal space and offers a high return in community engagement per square foot. Courts are often full, fostering social connections and local pride. The facility will also support health and wellness goals, inclusivity, and multi-generational recreation that few activities can match. DC has the opportunity to lead to create a model facility that matches the quality and spirit of its community. Rather than relying on borrowed courts, and let's invest in a true recreational cornerstone, one that supports tournament level play, youth development, and year-round community engagement. Thank you for your time in considering this important investment in our city's recreational future.
Thank you so much. Next, we will hear from Lipborn Darlington.
Hi, yes, Linford Darlington. You got it right.
Got
Can
it.
you guys, you got it. Thanks. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you.
Good morning, Chairwoman George, members of the council, and fellow pickleball supporters. My name is Linford Darlington. I live in Ward 6. I started playing pickleball at the court across the street from my home in Southwest during the pandemic. I've lived in this neighborhood for nearly 25 years, but before pickleball, I only knew most of my neighbors well enough to wave hello. Pickleball changed that. Through playing, I've gotten to know many of my neighbors on a much deeper level. I've been to their homes, I've welcomed them to my homes, I know their families, I know what's going on in their lives. So, what started as a simple game has truly become a true community. And that's the beauty of pickleball, right? It builds connections and strengthens communities. If DC government is serious about fostering strong neighborhoods and tightly knit communities, I believe one of the most effective things it can do is to support, promote, and encourage pickleball. Pickleball doesn't just activate courts, it brings people together and helps create lasting relationships. I also volunteer as a pickleball coach at the DC jail. One of the reasons I do this work is to help incarcerated individuals find new, positive community. Too often, when people are released, they return to the same environments and social circles that contributed to their incarceration. That makes it incredibly difficult to break old patterns. Pickleball offers a healthy outlet and a new community, one rooted in connection, accountability, and mutual support. I believe this kind of community can expose people to new opportunities and provide a stronger support system that helps reduce recidivism. Pickleball also brings people together from diverse backgrounds. At my court here in Southwest, players of all ages, races, religions, political affiliations share the court. We don't argue about our differences. We focus on what brings us together, our love of the game. I also play regularly in Central Florida, where the local government has invested heavily in high quality pickleball facilities. Initially, these courts were mostly popular with seniors, Over time, they've become equally popular with students after school and young adults after work. In the morning, the courts are filled with seniors. In the afternoon, students. In the evening, working adults. What's especially powerful is the overlap. Different generations playing together, learning from one another, and forming connections. I can't think of many spaces outside of places of worship that naturally foster this kind of intergenerational engagement. Pickleball does, and it does it organically. In closing, pickleball is more than a sport. It's a proven way to bring people together of different ages, races, religions, political beliefs to create stronger, healthier communities. Again, if the district is committed to building community and strengthening neighborhoods, there's no more effective and inclusive investment than supporting pickleball throughout DC. Thank you for your time and consideration.
So next we will hear from Ruth Ellis.
Hi, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to testify and for all the work that you do to make our city a wonderful place to live. My name is Ruth Ellis, and I live in the Great Ward 8. I serve as a pickleball ambassador in Southeast and Southwest, and I'm on the Washington, D.C. Pickleball Board. I'd like to update the committee on our efforts over the last year to increase access in the two fastest growing player groups, young adults and youth players. We thank DPR for their efforts to make pickleball more accessible throughout the city. I think DPR now does see the value of the sport and DPR has increased the number of rec centers where pickleball is on the schedule. However, the vast majority of the hours we get are during the workday. Citywide, there are only 3 rec centers that have evening or weekend hours. That's Sherwood, King Greenleaf, and Hillcrest. That's all across the city, only those 3. Those sessions at those sites are packed with players with long wait times. Daytime play is great for retirees like myself, but not for people who are on a 9-to-5 work schedule or for teens and young players who would like to play after school. And also, we lose access to DPR's indoor play entirely during the summer months, even though many of our players, our older players especially, have health issues and cannot play outdoors during the heat. So many DPR rec centers have large blocks of time set aside for open gym. We ask that DPR look at their utilization data and see if they can find more weekend and evening time for pickleball, including during the summer. In larger gyms where space can be divided, like at Deanwood and other gyms where there's a divider that drops down, we would be happy to share space. We also urge DPR to consider opening more rec centers on Sundays. Recreational opportunities, including pickleball, should be for all of us, not just for those of us who can show up during the middle of a weekday. After working adults, young players are the fastest growing player demographic. However, DPR still limits registration for pickleball to adults 18 and above and does not have any programmed pickleball lessons or any programming for youth players. The demand for youth and family play is there. DPR co-hosted a drop-in evening event with us in November at SETLC. Dozens of families showed up. It was great to see families, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, little ones. It was amazing to see everybody running around the courts and playing and just enjoying time together in an active, healthy way. We also do, as Kaz mentioned, at Jefferson, where Kaz plays and where I play, we do see young players coming by after school. Dropping in and hitting the ball around, using gear that players have donated and left at the site. We, Washington, D.C. Pickleball, provided pickleball as a free auxiliary activity for summer camps last August and offered that to DPR. We did get some participation, but I would say we did not get full buy-in. We are currently partnering with KIPP DC, College Prep, to offer pickleball as a unit in high school PE classes, and Kaz is going to be one of our coaches for that program as well. in addition to what he's doing at the jail. Pickleball is a varsity sport in Montgomery County, and it's growing fast at the collegiate level, including national tournaments. DC should not be left behind. DC should be part of this. We ask that DPR commit to including pickleball as an auxiliary activity for spring break and summer camps, and that DPR include youth play in their planning and their programming for the sport. As Cheryl and Eileen mentioned, the RFK campus is a once-in-a-generation opportunity to create a home for pickleball in DC and a place for the sport to grow, especially for young players. And I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Commissioner Trupti Patel. Good morning.
Good morning, Chairperson Lewis. Thank you for holding this hearing so that my comments may be entered into the record. My name is Trupti Patel, and I am a fourth-term Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner representing Single-Member District 2A03 in historic Foggy Bottom. I am here to address the Department of Parks and Recreation's performance as it relates to capital project delivery, fiscal transparency, interagency coordination, and community engagement using a single long-delayed park project at 26th and K Street Northwest as a case study. This park has been delayed for years, first due to COVID-19. In the spring of 2023, DPR announced the project with a $1 million budget and presented a community-supported vision for an expanded park footprint. ANC2A formally supported that plan. In spring 2024, DPR informed the community that the project would be delayed again due to contractor bankruptcy. At that point, DPR stated that funds had already been spent, but neither the ANC nor the public has ever received a clear accounting of how much of that $1 million was used or what it was used for. That lack of transparency is a direct failure of DPR's fiscal 27 fiscal stewardship and reporting obligations. Equally concerning is DPR's performance on project planning and execution. The community was later told that we were lucky to still receive a park within budget, but no longer the park DPR had announced just 1 year earlier. DPR has never clearly explained why it advanced a plan that it could not realistically deliver, which raises serious questions about internal project vetting and risk management. From an FY27 interagency coordination standpoint, DPR's performance has also been deeply problematic. Rather than communicating directly with ANC2A and residents, DPR relied on sister agencies DGS and DDOT to provide shifting explanations for why the project was scaled back. One particularly troubling claim was DDOT's Urban Forestry Division opposed the expansion due to heritage tree impacts. That claim was incorrect, and Urban Forestry approved the expansion. Subsequent explanations were revised, but still failed to account for what these supposed constraints were, not identified before the expanded plan was announced in 2023. Finally, DPR's community engagement performance has eroded public trust. Agencies withheld information, deflected responsibility, and at a February 6, 2025 community meeting, residents received visceral pushback from a DPR employee when asking basic questions about funding. This may be a small project on paper, but it is a major quality of life issue for our neighborhood. DPR's handling of it has left residents questioning the agency's commitment to transparency, accountability, and service. So for FY27 performance oversight, ANC2A respectfully requests the following. First, that DPR provide a full public accounting of how much of the $1 million allocation has been spent and for what purpose. Second, that DPR explain why it presented a project plan that it could not execute within known constraints. And third, that DPR use its FY27 budget authority to complete this project, which it already has, expeditiously and fully, including providing necessary equipment and permanent water source. FY27 performance should be measured not just by whether a park eventually opens, but whether DPR delivers projects honestly, manages public funds responsibly, coordinates effectively across agency, and treats communities as partners. Thank you for your time and for your oversight.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Want to come back to pickleball for those who testified. What neighborhoods or wards is pickleball most accessible, and where is there a need for additional courts or time greatest?
Ruth?
So pickleball is played in all parts of the city. I would say the least well-served would be like Ward 1 and Ward 2 on the downtown areas. mostly because of lack of space. And we have, as Eileen mentioned, we are participating in an advisory committee, and we have worked with DPR to try and identify areas where, we're least well served. And I would say the other area where we're not well served is Ward 8, east of the river. So we're working with them, and and to give DPR credit, they are working with us and taking our input into consideration. Obviously, we want the sport to be accessible to everyone, not just, people who already have lots of resources.
Yeah. And are there more indoor or outdoor pickleball courts? And I guess what are the benefits or downsides of each of those?
Right now, we have a lot more indoor space.
Okay.
And, because we do have, although we are sharing that space, it's not our space. We get like 2 or 3 hours once or twice a week is typical at most of the rec centers. And DPR, when they count the number of courts available, they count all of those courts, even if we only have very limited access to them, which is not entirely representative of the situation. So indoor is a great advantage, obviously, when the weather is bad or at nighttime. Outdoors, I think many of us prefer to play outdoors, but again, outdoors, we're often sharing with tennis courts. And I think there's actually only one outdoor facility that has real lights, and that's Turkey Thicket. So, and again, this is an issue for working adults and people who would like to play in the evening. So again, we're trying to expand, within the budgetary constraints that the city is facing, expand access, strategically, building lighted courts. As Eileen mentioned, our organization has raised funds to build 5 courts in a location in Southwest, which is going to be very accessible and very heavily used, I'm sure, as soon as those courts open. So we're making progress, but the city needs to keep investing. They need every project that they start. They need to look at pickleball, recognize that pickleball is going to activate that site, which is what they want to do, what we all want to do, and put the investment in now, going forward.
Yeah.
And I also think that's why it's important that we try to keep this $750,000 on track and get it spent. We reached out to DPR the last time the advisory board met was in October, and we reached out requesting another meeting this, winter now for an update. We hope they start building out these courts in the spring. That will do a lot to alleviate the demand, especially given the locations that they're looking at.
Yeah. Do you all, I heard you talking about this, about a dedicated pickleball complex. Do you have any information on how the district's pickleball offerings are comparing to other cities? And I'm curious if are there cities doing more than we are? Are we doing more than most? Or is there any other city who has a dedicated pickleball complex that we could look to for example?
Oh, sure. And we could probably get that back to you in writing, though. Um, Unfortunately, I would not say we are doing more than most. We were pretty far behind, to be honest, other cities of comparable size. And I think what we can't stress enough is right now, the amount of time we get on these courts is extremely limited. So you're talking maybe 2 hours, 2 days a week on these hybrid courts, either in rec centers or outdoor at tennis courts. What we're not asking for a dedicated complex at RFK. I don't think that's anywhere in the budget cards. It would be lovely, but I doubt it. What we're hoping the city will look at is this 350,000 square foot athletic facility. Pickleball can overlay with a lot of other sports. So we've been engaging in the community meetings and encouraging the architects to look not just at the outside complex, which could support, up to 10 dedicated courts, but also the indoor facility, because DC has its own pro pickleball team with no place to play. That's a professional level team. And pickleball tournaments attract people from all over the country. So if you're looking for heads on beds activities out at RFK, pickleball would be ideal. Um, but you need the space to have a tournament. And right now we don't have that.
Yeah. Okay. And can I ask, what is the reason why there are no pickleball programs for youth? Or for as DPR, what is DPR's given reason for why I'm just wondering if they don't see the demand among youth or think it would,
Base.
or they think it would take time and space from adults. I'm curious what their reasoning is right now.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Bruce.
I'm not sure there is a reason. I think it's they're overstretched.
Got it.
We work very closely with the tennis and pickleball coordinator, but he has a very, very big job. And programming, getting a new program off the ground takes time. And I think there hasn't really been anybody, I don't want to put another job on his plate because I know how stretched he is already. But it just doesn't seem like anyone, and I know that Ms. Freeman, I played pickleball with her. So I know she's interested. I know she's on board too. But so I think it's a staffing and resource issue. But I think it's really past time and the kids are interested. They've seen it enough now, they've heard of it. I think if we build it, right, they will come. So, and we would love to work with DPR on getting that started.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you all. I want to thank this panel. I look forward to following up with DPR, making sure the funding, the funds that have been allocated remain, and we can get moving on a number of projects, especially the spring, which would be a great opportunity for us this year. So thank you all so much. And any feedback, any additional information, you can obviously email our team so that we can follow back up before our hearing that will be coming on March.
Okay, thank you. And I hope you feel better. You don't look like you're feeling very well.
Oh, I know. That's why we're virtual. I didn't want to get any of
I
you all
got it.
sick. I just took I had tried the other day. My team was like, you sound terrible.
Yeah.
So in abundance of health, I was like, let's go virtual so you all can stay healthy. And
That is appreciated.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
welcome.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Next, we will move to our next panel. Dolores Bouchong, public witness. Aaron O'Grady, public witness. Andrew Foote. Marsha Lee, Jill Perry, and Alka Shonda. All right. Okay, I see our panel here. Dolores, you are going to be first. It's good to see you again, and good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I am testifying from Nicaragua. So first, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay. Hello, my name is Dolores Bushong. I have lived in Ward 5 across from Langdon Park for 32 years. I am here today to testify about the light pollution caused by DPR's poor management of outdoor lighting in Langdon Park. This fall, the field lights were on 24 hours, all night, all day, every day. Obviously unnecessary. The pool deck and splash pad lights come on every night, all 8 of them. The pool is emptied and covered, and there's a 10-foot fence around the deck and splash pad. There's no danger for children inside of the fence during the colder months. The pool house has lights and provides security, but the pool deck and splash pad pole lights have no purpose when the pool is not in use. The lights are a waste of electricity and harmful to the environment. I have been contacting DPR since December 16th, 2021, asking them to either dim them or cut them off. Yes, you're counting correctly. That's over 5 years. And I haven't asked once, I've asked over 30 times. It still has not happened. Is it a bureaucratic or a technical problem? I don't know. I do know that if a light can be turned on, it can be turned off. Excessive outdoor lighting harms the environment in many ways, affecting humans, pollinators, migrating birds. Langdon Park Forest Patch is next to the pool and a place where migrating birds can stop and rest, nocturnal animals, and the night sky. And yes, our pocketbooks, for using light unnecessarily is costly. All of us in the district pay the cost of these wasteful lights. These are not opinions, they are facts. They are not disputed, and it is possible, even easy, to limit light pollution. DPR took a responsible step toward limiting light pollution when they met with a coalition of community groups who were concerned by excessive lights in public parks. After meeting for several years with representatives of DC Streetlight Task Force, DC Environmental Network, City Wildlife, Sierra Club, DC Chapter, and International Dark Sky Association, they agreed to a lighting management plan for capital projects on February 9, 2023. I was a member of that group. DPR indicated they would follow IDA, since named Dark Sky International, and IES, eliminating Engineering Society principles. See an explanation for those at the end of the testimony. The pool area in Langdon Park is not a capital project, so it is not included under the agreement. But there's no reason DPR can't mitigate the lighting on the pool deck and splash pad at Langdon. DPR can do a better job controlling light pollution in parks. I wish I could say that this is an issue only in Langdon Park, but friends in other neighborhoods relate the same issue on playing fields near them. I have been waiting for 5 years. It is no wonder that community members often just give up rather than pursue changes that would improve their neighborhoods. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Hopefully looks like it's much warmer there than it is here.
Yes, it is.
Next, we will hear from Erin O'Grady.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Wonderful. Well, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to testify. My name is Erin O'Grady, and I'm speaking on behalf of the Alliance for the Chesapeake Bay. I'm here today because the elimination of funding for green stormwater infrastructure maintenance has put district park assets, public safety, and long-term capital investments at risk. Our GSI maintenance crews worked directly on 30 DPR managed properties. They would maintain bioretention areas designed to protect DPR spaces from stormwater flooding, erosion, and pollution. This routine maintenance is part of what keeps parks safe, accessible, and functional for residents. And when that maintenance stopped, deterioration began. Over 4 years, this program supported 89 DC residents, many of them returning citizens, through stable year-round employment while they maintained the stormwater infrastructure embedded in DPR parks. These crews were often residents of nearby neighborhoods, building pride, stewardship, and care for public lands they use with their own families. When funding was eliminated, 30 dedicated stormwater maintenance positions were lost. Local contractors could no longer sustain trained crews. Park-based green infrastructure began to fail, and the district increased its risk of non-compliance with its MS4 permit. As one contractor told us, quote, "When funding for this work was eliminated, it caught small businesses off guard and was destabilizing," end quote. This loss has real consequences for DPR. Deferred stormwater maintenance leads to clogged systems, flooded fields, damaged landscaping, and higher emergency work orders. Preventative care is significantly more cost-effective than repairing or replacing failed assets. Now, this is all a result of special purpose revenue funds that were historically and intentionally dedicated for environmental compliance being repurposed in FY26 to cover other district expenses. This undermines Clean Water Act compliance expectations on the district, and it weakens interagency planning and directly harms the parks and green spaces communities rely on. We respectfully ask DPR to elevate the importance of park-based stormwater infrastructure, push for reliable funding for green infrastructure maintenance, monitoring, and enforcement through green workforce development, in your budget priorities, and hold the executive accountable to appropriate use of special purpose revenue funds. Caring for parks means caring for the systems that protect them. With restored, coordinated investment, DPR can preserve green infrastructure investments, avoid higher long-term costs, and ensure safe, resilient spaces for every district resident. Thank you for your leadership and your commitment to our parks.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we will hear from Andrew Foote. I can't hear you. I can't hear you, Andrew. Still can't hear you. Is it just me? Oh, no. Maybe if you could turn your volume up.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, there we go.
All right, great. Always switching different things. All right. Good morning, Chairperson George. Thank you so much for including me on for public testimony. My name's Andrew Foote, and I'm a resident of Ward 7 in the Capitol View neighborhood. I'm here to speak specifically about the recently renovated Fort DuPont Ice Arena. We celebrated a few months ago the $39 million investment in this Ward 7 landmark that has provided so much history in Ward 7. But I'm deeply concerned specifically about the current pricing for the open skate sessions and how it creates a financial barrier for the community that surrounds that area. And these prices were announced on February 3rd, opening the facility and announcing. Mayor Bowser said that we know that our children in Washington, D.C. deserve access to the best facilities, the best programming, and we're going to raise and train the next generation of ice skaters in Washington, D.C. This is, of course, particularly relevant right now as everyone's watching the Winter Olympics, and we're seeing the excellence that is coming out of the DMV specifically. In the same press release, Councilman Felder said the Fort DuPont Ice Arena has long been a jewel of Ward 7, making ice sports accessible for residents and visitors who might not otherwise have access. And the problem with these new prices is that it makes ice skating anything but accessible for the families of Ward 7 and the rest of DC because the cost is prohibitive. For a DC resident, a youth ticket from ages 4 to 17 is $11. A child's ticket is $8. Adult tickets are $14. That means for a family of 4, it's at $40 to $50 to go skating once. And the economic reality is not a lot of families have $50 to just throw around. For reference, Tucker Road Ice Arena actually costs about 50% less for residents of Prince George's County, which is just down the road from us. So to truly fulfill the mission of Fort DuPont Ice Arena, I urge the council to consider a number of potential options: tiered pricing for Ward 7 and 8 residents, expanded free skate days and announcements of that, and as well as family passes that cap the price for an entire family to go together, because skaters that are under 14 have to have an adult, and so you're sort of locked into paying at least $24, as well as annual or monthly memberships to Fort DuPont Ice Arena. I'm very excited about the Ice Arena. My son loves hockey, and so we go a lot, but I want this to be accessible to everyone. Thank you so much for your time, for your commitment to equity and excellence, and go Caps.
Yes, go Caps. Thank you so much for your testimony. Next, we will hear from Marsha Lee.
Good morning, Councilman. My name is Marcia. Please don't call me Marsha.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know which way. I apologize. So sorry.
Yeah, I take offense to that. So good morning. So thank you, Councilperson George and members of the council for allowing me to testify. I am Marcia Lee, a Ward 5 resident. I am a OG and 4G Washingtonian and a 17-year participant in DPR classes and activations. I appreciate DPR's role in community health and wellness activations for DC residents. I write to recommend practical steps to strengthen wellness environments and senior-focused programming. Deanwood Recreation Center, wellness environment and operations. Yoga space readiness. Issue, room not consistently clean / mop or preset. Participants frequently relocate tables and chairs. Request, implement a pre-class checklist and responsible staff point of contact for room setup and cleanliness. Restroom use and air quality. Issue: women's restroom doors left open to unauthorized smoking. Marijuana odor reaches wellness space, especially in warm months. Request: host and enforce no smoking / no drug use policies with periodic staff walkthroughs. Keep restroom doors closed and consider scheduling sweeps during class windows. Provide a virtual option for yoga until conditions are reliably healthy. Scheduling conflicts with ANC meetings. Issue: monthly Thursday ANC meetings have caused relocation or cancellations. Request: proactive scheduling, coordination, and guaranteed room assignments for the full class time. Senior programming, quality, access, and relevance. Senior Fest, held in May. Food, align menus with chronic disease prevention. Lower sodium, sugar, saturated fat, clear labeling. Space and sound, right-size venue to avoid overcrowding. Set a decibel target for conversation and exhibit engagement. Engagement, refresh giveaways with local DC merchant partnerships rather than repeating bags / cups. Senior well trips and fitness activations. Observations, trips skewed toward youth. Seniors want more variety and frequency. Last year's senior line dance event was near capacity. Clear demand. Increase senior focus events across diverse interests: movement, mindfulness, arts, nature, nutrition. Restore Fit DC activations beyond the 5K Star Her Store and Yoga Fest. Outdoor yoga in warmer months. Black History Month. Fit DC Festival. MLK Wellness activations. Use seniors for your content. And there's some other things I'll send because my time is about up. These changes are feasible, fast, and aligned with DPR's mission. Thank you for your consideration and partnership in creating a consistent, healthy, and engaging experience, especially for seniors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Jill Perry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good morning, and thanks for your commitment to improving our city. Okay. I would like to start with stating that in the book, The Color of Money, the author states that President Johnson was the last president to offer a commitment to leadership that challenged racial injustice. And with the assassination of Martin Luther King 56 years ago, our country's fight for racial justice has come to a halt. Then to read that the Trust for Public Land states that the DC Parks and Recreation Centers are consistently ranked the best in the nation, and given that the budget of just 3 of DPR's current construction projects, Jelliff Recreation Center in Ward 2 is $28 million, Ketchum's Recreation Center in Ward 8 is $16 million, and Randall Recreation Centers in Ward 6 is $18 million, is quite impressive. That's a total of $62 million for just 3 centers out of 62 centers across all 8 wards listed on DPR's website. Truth be told, things are not always as they seem, and the broken and politically motivated organizational structure of DPR is without a sustainable profit motive for uplifting and empowering the people and communities in DC. The rigid rules of the national park system have zero commitment and interest in creating safety nets to improve the resilience and come to the aid of many people in desperate need of food and shelter, to say the least. We are living in extremely dangerous times that demand for the courage and commitment to change. In the words of the prophet Jeremiah, it is time to tear down and rebuild. It's not optional, and it needs to be immediate. In order to move forward, we must look back and address the root causes, fill in the many gaps of our core system, fill in the many gaps and address the root causes. Fill in the many gaps of our core systems, by providing an equal distribution, availability, and access to opportunities, programs, and resources to improve the livelihood and create safety nets for the many people that have been suffering due to racial injustice and other reasons for generations. The recreation centers need to effectively collaborate with accountability and transparency, creating an equal distribution of resources, programs, and activities, an effective strategic plan with essential community input and participation, expressing the critical needs of our community, expressing the critical and immediate needs of our community. The Boys and Girls Club could provide free aftercare with transportation for all of the children to each of the centers. Local nonprofits and other organizations could generate community engagement and provide the needed resources and support. And using the available facility resources, an effective community and youth employment program would provide training and paid work experience, and a commitment to creating a system that provides equal distribution, resources, and services to support the entire community. If I still have a few minutes, I can give you a few examples.
I'll ask you during questions.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Next, we'll hear from Alka. I can't hear you, so sorry. It's not coming through.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, thank goodness. Good morning, Councilperson George and others. My name is Alka Chamna, and my husband and I are homeowners in the Lamond Riggs neighborhood in Ward 4. We've proudly called DC home for 15 years, and we care deeply about the city and the agencies like the Department of Parks and Recreation that help make it livable, healthy, and vibrant. I'm here today because we're facing a climate emergency, and right now, one of our most practical climate tools is sitting on the sidelines when it should be in the starting lineup. Food is the second largest contributor to global greenhouse gas emissions after fossil fuels. In New York City, food accounts for 20%, 1/5 of the city's total climate footprint, about the same as all transportation combined. Globally, food systems generate more than 1/3 of emissions. Now, we haven't measured DC's emissions as yet, but climate math doesn't change when you cross the Beltway. That's why this very council passed the Green Food Purchasing Amendment Act in 2021. It set clear targets, a 10% reduction by 2025, 18% by 2027, and 25% by 2030. We're halfway to the first deadline. 7 district agencies spend more than $10,000 a year on food purchases. That's real leverage. Agencies that serve the public, like DPR, have a chance to model climate leadership every time they plan a menu. But the law isn't being implemented. We passed it, we set deadlines, and then we put it in what appears to be a very comfortable drawer. Meanwhile, as we all know and as we all experience, extreme heat, flooding, and food insecurity haven't taken a break. Enforcing our own laws is one of the fastest climate actions we can take. We cannot control federal policy, but we can control whether the district agencies follow district law. The good news is this law doesn't require new funding or new technology. It just requires agencies to do what they're already supposed to do. Consider climate impact when spending public money on food. That's not radical, that's responsible. Council members, I urge you to use your oversight authority to ensure compliance. The 2025 target isn't a suggestion, it's the law. We passed a smart law, now let's follow it. Thank you very much for your consideration and your time, and I welcome any questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you to this panel. Dolores, I wanted to come to you. Great to see you again. I put almost 600,000 in this year's budget for field lights, but as we fix and replace lights, we have to make sure we are taking into account the intensity, the angle, and the timing. We have similar issues at Tacoma Recreation here, and you said DPR indicated they would follow IDA and Illuminating Engineering Society principles. Did DPR do so in written plan or policy?
Well, that's again only for capital projects, because as they explained, there's not dimming capability on many of the older lights. And when I asked them, can you tell us what the situation is among all these other parks, they couldn't do that. So the issue becomes how not to waste money, how to be safe. That comes absolutely first safety. And then certainly I would say whether we're going to control light pollution, and certainly the effect that it's having on all of us, and including birds and other things. So the question in Langdon Park, and this is the frustration, is no one is questioning whether the lights would harm anybody being cut off. There's been agreement about that. They're saying, you're right, but it doesn't happen. And I'm not saying that I haven't been, like I've said, in constant contact, and it's not been that they aren't saying they will. The reality is they haven't. So, you know, everybody's saying we'll try to take care of it, but the reality is it's never been taken care of. And it's hard for me to understand over the 5 years I've been dealing with it, how much electricity have we paid for as taxpayers that is useless light being sent up into the sky and polluting the night skies. So it's not, I don't understand as a taxpayer why. I can understand if you don't know a situation exists. There are lots of parks. And so it requires us as citizens sometimes to let DPR or any other agency know what isn't working. Sometimes we're on the front lines, as I am, because I'm across the street from it. But once we let you know, and you don't disagree with what we're asking, why isn't it happening? It really makes you want to give up. I'm not a giver-upper. So, but the reality is if I tell you what the situation is and you agree with my assessment, why doesn't anything happen? Is it bureaucratic?
Yeah.
Is it technical? But I do know, this I know, if a light can be turned on, a light can be turned off. I know they rely on DGS. So why can't it be turned off during the time that the pool isn't open? When the pool's open, it needs to be on. Absolutely, I agree. So that's what I guess I'm hoping that you'll be able to find out, because I've not been able to find out in 5 years.
Yeah.
They don't ghost me. They say they're going to do it, but nothing happens.
Yeah.
And like I said, if this were just Langdon, I would still not be very happy because it's a lot of money, but I don't think it's just Langdon.
Yeah. Do you think, do you think putting outdoor light rules in statute or regulations would be more effective than internal DPR policy and making sure our lights are following best practices?
Well, the question is, and this I don't know, is this true on other properties that are owned by DC? Is this a problem in other agencies where lights that are not controlled by DPR? It can't just be a DPR. Or is DGS who's responsible for all facilities? So I can't communicate, as you know, directly with DGS. I have to go through DPR, and then DPR has to say something to somebody else. I think a lot of us as residents are so sure that there's nothing we can do if we notice a problem that we don't even report it, even if we know we would never leave our own lights on in our house 24/7. So I'm not sure what to say about that because I'm not sure whether it's true across all DC owned properties.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out. Our team is working on whether we want to do some outdoor light rules as a part of legislation to make it a part of statute or regulations. I think the moment we propose legislation, we'll get some answers on where we actually land. So we will be reaching out.
Look, and I want to say that I would look forward to taking part in any kinds of public kinds of interaction with that and engagement with that.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you and safe travels.
Okay, thanks.
Aaron, you talked about the importance of maintenance and specifically preventative maintenance of green infrastructure. Can you talk about the unique features of green infrastructure that may require a different maintenance approach than typical and older fossil fuel systems?
Sure. So the green infrastructure that we have on a lot of DPR sites are bioretention. So these are collecting stormwater from the surrounding property or sheet flow from surrounding streets. This requires very specific type of training for maintenance practitioners. We have seen a lot in the city where if somebody is simply trained in landscaping, they will just cut through the bioretention practices and destroy all the plants that are planted there specifically for the amount of water that is going to be collected in that system. We have very specific plants that we have to plant in certain sections of the system, along with drains that are inside of the system that need to be cleaned out and maintained. So because of the specificity of the whole system, it does require extra labor or extra training than what you would traditionally see for landscaping.
Got it. And DPR, one of the suggestions from you is how can DPR sort of meet this moment as we look to maintaining our green infrastructure projects?
Yeah, great question. So we already have funding available in the budget through the special purpose revenue funds. If we can ensure that those funds continue to go towards these projects that are supposed to be maintaining practices throughout the district, we're done. We're golden. Unfortunately, in FY26, those funds were taken and used elsewhere, and thus we lost all of our money to be able to maintain these projects. If we lose these funds again this year, then we will be looking at our individual entities, DPR, DEMPED, DCPS, all of the locations where we help maintain these practices and asking, do you have it in your budget to maintain these practices? Has that been carved out since these special purpose revenue funds might be at risk?
Okay, and do you think DOE has the expertise to maintain these stormwater projects and should play a role in doing so, I guess, in coordination with DGS and DPR?
DOE certainly has the expertise. This is the almost the umbrella organization that has helped coordinate it through all of the different entities. There's about 7 different entities that we have helped maintain the practices through the umbrella coordinator of DOE because the special revenue funds was funneled into DOE. So again, it depends on just who has access to the funding to support the maintenance.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And we will be following up on with DGS, DPR, and seeing if we can get some input from DOE on doing this work.
Thank you.
Andrew, I wanted to come to you. Do you know how the current prices compared to the prices when the arena was operated by the Friends of Fort DuPont Ice Arena?
I do not, because it predated me moving to Ward 7 and before I had kids, so it was less fun to go skating by myself. But I do know that the initial prices that were posted on February 3rd were actually lower than the prices that they posted a day later. And if you think about it from a public finance perspective, the goal for Fort DuPont Ice Arena should not be to maximize their profits, right? The goal for Fort DuPont Ice Arena should be to serve the public. And I know that there are costs involved with running an ice arena that are not the same as running like a pool. But the goal should also be to expand access for all of the people around there because it's an incredible resource for a lot of families. And I think that we should really take a page out of surrounding areas, ice arenas, and their pricing as well, and then the different ways that they have specific hours that are a little cheaper during the day because there's going to be less people there anyways, to try to balance the need for some cost recuperation and also for expanding access in the neighborhood.
Yeah. What I'm concerned about, but not sure, and I want to follow up with DGS and DPR about is I'm concerned the reason for the high prices may be that neither DGS nor DPR was budgeted to operate the arena in the fiscal year 26 budget as the plan was for the Friends of DuPont to do so.
Yeah.
I will find out if that is the case and make sure both agencies have the budget they need to maintain and operate this new and expensive facility so that prices can be lower in the next fiscal year. But yeah, I agree with you for all the reasons why we need to have, affordable options. And I've asked several times sort of, how are you all going to go from operating to Friends of DuPont and what impact or how you're going to pay for it since it wasn't originally budgeted. So my
Yeah.
fear is that the higher prices are to deal with the shortfall there. But we'll get to the bottom of it, but I appreciate your advocacy and hopefully in this year's budget, we'll be right sizing it so that the cost can go down to affordable. But we'll follow up with you and once we get some real answers from DPR on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Marcia, my apologies again. You mentioned you'd like to see the changes to DPR's food offerings for seniors to include that foods that really help with chronic disease prevention. I know DPR has food guidelines for summer meals for youth, but I have not heard of similar policy actually for seniors. Can you talk about what foods seniors currently have access to and what foods you'd like to see instead?
Well, you know what, Councilwoman George, what I would like to see when I go to different events, particularly Senior Fest and the holiday event, let me just break down those two. I don't want to be long-winded. The food is 100% trash. But for me, and I'm speaking for me, and me only, because I love my city, I love my seniors, I love everybody, pretty much. But I go really for the socialization, but what I've noticed that the same caterer, the food is like it's been pre-made 3 to 4 days ahead, and then just slap it on the people, like that part. And I think that is so unacceptable. And you have to realize too, Councilwoman, a lot of times when seniors go to those activations, that's the only meal they get sometimes. And the food should be fabulous. It should be from a good caterer who care about what people eat, especially when we have the highest rate of diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, kidney disease, and the like. And that's what I'm speaking of. The food should be nice and fresh, and also it should be to-go bags. It should be to-go trays, because sometimes maybe things want to walk with it. And number two, it should be also where things can actually chew it, because some people have teeth issues. I mean, this goes beyond the gambit of just having food, but having good healthy food. And having more like plant-based options and making sure the food is labeled, because you don't know what type of allergies people have. Every activation I go to in this city, nothing is labeled. Nothing. I'm like, and for me, I don't eat stuff that's high fat, high sodium, high cholesterol, because I practice a healthy lifestyle, because I want to live beyond the 15. Like that part, I do. And that's what I've been noticing for years when I go to these different activations, that they just want to get them, just as long as they have something. And then they have the popcorn machines. Baby, have you ever had a popcorn at an event, Councilwoman? Baby, I'm sorry, let me respect your name, but it's always like full of salt. And it goes straight in the trash. I mean, think about it. Would you feed your child that? Would you feed your mother and father that? Just think about how would you feed your family that? And that's where I'm coming from. Absolutely. And yeah, I'm sorry. And beyond my day job, I am a health promoter. I want us to be well, like period. I want us to be well. And I want us to make sure when we go out, the activation, the food, like my mother lives in Montgomery County, and I do have an example. My mother lives in Moco. She left the district 20 years ago. Every activation she goes to, she says healthy, it's fabulous, it's good. They can chew. They can actually take things home if they want to. They always keep people's wellness in mind and keep us food food diet in mind as well.
Yeah. And about offerings for senior events, what improvements can DPR make in improving the offerings for seniors?
Well, you know what, and I didn't get to put it, but as far as more senior offers, have more things on in the evening and on weekends, because everybody's not retired. I'm not retired. I'm a senior. Oh, I look fabulous, but I work. So you know what, I cannot afford to take off during the middle of the day, even when they do like the activation sometimes for like the little senior pool thingy. That's like at 11 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, I can't always pull up and go. I always cannot get the time. Although my job is flexible somewhat, I always cannot, go out during the daytime for activations. And I would also like to see a senior podcast, because seniors, Miss Janeese, they dealing with other things too, wellness, caregiving. They need somewhere to calm down. Like they have the studio at Deanwood. I would like to see a studio, and I actually asked for that at Fort Lincoln at the new center. Can we have a podcast studio? I was told it wouldn't be no problem. I was shut down by DPR leadership. I was told, no, we can't do it. Yes, you can. It takes 2 mics, couple little systems, a dog baby room, period. Because our issues are just as important as youth. You know what? Recreation, Miss Janeese, goes from cradle to grave. And I want to make sure it's my tax dollars too. And I want to see my tax dollars go toward programs that's going to help everybody, and particularly our seniors, because seniors are living longer too, Miss Janeese.
That's right. Absolutely. We got somebody 111 over here.
Yes, ma'am. Any more things? Thank you for taking time to engage with me.
Thank you. Jill, I wanted to see if you could share more about the examples you mentioned in your testimony.
Yes. So I was kind of going rec center to rec center because I've been to every center in Ward 7 and 8. So I was going to give a couple examples. For example, Joy Evans, and every center is that I've been to in the evenings, all the doors are shut and locked, and the staff is dangerously low. So utilizing and changing the system, Joy Evans could provide excellent peer support because of the multiple private rooms they have. Hillcrest has dozens of empty closets. That would be a perfect example to store distribution of food and diapers and different supplies needed. Kenilworth Recreation Center and others have commercial kitchens. We need to utilize these kitchens for community meals and storage and distribution of food. Deanwood, like Miss Marcia mentioned, has a music and a podcast room. We've got people like Viola Davis that has a foundation that supports film, TV, and digital platforms. There is a food distribution center on I Street down the center from Randall Recreation Center that is almost finished, and it would be an amazing place to have, a food distribution so we can have, utilize their storage and distribute it to all the centers. And I could keep going, but my last example is Rosedale Recreation Center. There are 6,667 youth in that general location at schools. And we are so focused on RFK, which I am not preaching against, but what are we doing about the youth in that general area? And how can we support them and provide the necessary services for them, not only RFK. Jimmy Buffett has an amazing music foundation. Taylor Swift donates millions of dollars to food banks. So by utilizing the resources and foundations and the money out there, and then implementing them at the recreations that have these amazing facilities, the community gardens, and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Thank you. Those are really helpful, and I couldn't agree with you more. And thank you for visiting all of the different centers and getting that perspective out. We're gonna have to get you on the facilities team because that's the work we love doing. And so we'll reach out for some further insight based on what you've seen and what we could actually do to improve things there. Alka, the Green Food Purchasing Act actually came up during DGS performance oversight hearing as well. And I asked DPR to outline the steps they have taken to work towards meeting the goals of the law. And we'll make sure you see their responses as well as we wait for those responses. Are you aware of agencies that are doing a better job at meeting these goals and are implementing strategies that should be replicated at other agencies?
As far as I know, Chairwoman, across the board for the various agencies in Washington, D.C., we're not seeing implementation of food choices that could lessen our climate impact. I think that if you go to New York City, there was a very vigorous, muscular attempt at bringing in, particularly, this is following up on the very good comments that Marcia was making. Particularly when you think about plant-based foods. Marcia's still here. She was over here, but now she's over here. When you think about plant-based foods, lower on the trophic scale and therefore, less harmful to the environment and less productive of greenhouse gases. New York City did a really good job under Mayor Adams of implementing more plant-based food options for the public schools, and I believe also the hospitals. And there may have been some other public bodies that were served in a more climate-friendly way.
Okay. Okay, well, we'll certainly take a look into that as well. But DPR is supposed to be giving us some answers on sort of how they're working towards the goals. So, and we look forward to seeing that and looking at other jurisdictions to model that work. And we have a lot of good laws on the books here. If followed, DC would be actually leading the way in a number of areas. And so appreciate your testimony and your advocacy. Thank you again to all of our public witnesses. A reminder to please upload your testimony to the hearing management system if you have not done so, or email facilities@dccouncil.gov, and our team will upload it to the hearing management system. And we look forward to continuing to engage with you and to make our parks run the way they should run and be an example of inclusivity for everyone. So thank you all. We're going to turn to panel 3, which contains a number of our ANC commissioners. Ashley Ruff, ANC Commissioner, Single Member District 7F02. Sabrina Rhodes, ANC Commissioner, Single Member District 5D02. Kyle Gardner, ANC Commissioner, Single Member District 5E01. Kishan Puta, ANC Commissioner, Single Member District 2E01. Francois Barilux, ANC Commissioner, Single Member District 1B02. Jessica Nugent, DC Action. Taisha Andrews, Community Activation Cohort, elected Ed DC. Darius Baxter, CEO of Good Projects. Sumaya Lane, Executive Director of Systems Support Services. And Kalia Jackson, Director of Development and Communications for the Midtown Youth Academy. All right. Sabrina, Commissioner Rhodes, you are the first witness who is here on this panel.
Thank you.
Good morning, and you may begin your testimony.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Councilmember and Chair Louis George and staff and witnesses. My name is Sabrina Rhodes, and I'm the community organizer with Empower DC and Advisory Neighborhood Commissioner here. I'm speaking today not just for myself, but alongside families, young people, seniors, and neighbors in the community. We care deeply about our parks and recreation spaces and how they will be planned, managed, and cared for, because these will be the places where our daily lives happen. Here in Ivy City, we're gearing up for the renovation of the Cromell Community Recreation Center and Green Space. This will be a place where our young people will grow into leaders, community leaders, where they build confidence, form relationships, spend time in positive structure and structured and vibrant environment. They're also where our seniors will walk in the gardens, mentor youth, and stay connected. Once these spaces are activated and well cared for, they strengthen all of us. When our seniors get involved, they will bring consistency, care, culture, and history. This will be a center where families and neighbors are engaged, problems are identified early, and solutions are made collectively. For this kind of community involvement to work, we need clarity and transparency from the district. We want to support our parks and recreation spaces in meaningful ways, but we need clear information about plans, timelines, and agency roles so we can do that effectively. I appreciate Christopher Dyer getting to me quickly with answers to my questions I posed from the Historic Preservation Review Board meeting for the Cromell Center and scheduling a community meeting, our community meeting number 2 for March 17th at Trinity Baptist Church. With that in mind, we just have a few questions for the record. First, is DPR, Department of Parks and Recreation, planning to acquire any additional parks in the district? And if so, will Lewis Crowe Park be turned over to DPR for care and management? Our community and Empower DC spent a lot of time working and designing the Ivy City Climate Resiliency Strategy Plan with DOEE, Ramble, and Moody Graham for Lewis Crowe Park. The vision portion of the Ivy City Small Area Plan, I guess you can't see it, Small Area Plan under recommended actions for community resilience and recommended actions for public space and urban design states that Lewis Crowe Park will be one of our new green spaces that will be reimagined. Second, when will construction begin on Cromell? I guess we could talk about that at our community meeting. But I do want to know, have any of the permits been submitted and how many have been approved to date? These are simple questions, but answers matter. We believe strong parks and recreation spaces help build strong communities. By centering youth leadership, encouraging intergenerational engagement, and being transparent with the public, the district can help ensure these spaces continue to be places of growth, connection, and belonging for all of us. Thank you. And we can use one of those sound systems at Cromell also.
Thank you so much. Next, we will hear from, I don't see Kyle Gardner, Kishan Puta, ANC Commissioner, Single Member District 2 EO1. Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, hold on 1 second. Okay. Hey, Chair Louis George. Thanks for everything. Specifically, I wanted to talk about Jelliff Rec Center and Duke Ellington Field. And thank you again. You visited Jelliff Rec Center 2 years ago. The spring of 2024, you came by and you saw the kids in the after school program. So many of those kids were going to go to summer camp there, and they never had any air conditioning in that big, nice gym over there. And I just want you to know that we all remember how you solved that problem that they'd been suffering from for years. Those kids got air conditioning and had a great summer camp thanks to you in 2024. And we've not forgotten. What hasn't happened in the 2 years since is the renovation still hasn't started. This is my 8th year as ANC commissioner. We've been pushing for it. I've been pushing for it since 2018. First was a feasibility study. It was fully funded, $28 million, started from 2 to 7 to 28. The FY22 budget, I couldn't believe it. I went back to look what FY it was. It was FY22 Now it's FY25, about to be 26, and it still hasn't started. It needs to start ASAP. We are ready for this program to go through. We wanted it to be bigger. We wanted an auxiliary gym, and that was actually cut at the end for cost. And I just want to tell all the wonderful advocates who I've been listening to this morning from across the city. Let us be a cautionary tale to you. This project took so long that the budget was no longer enough for what they promised us. They had to cut an extra piece that we really wanted. We wanted more than one gym at this place. They were going to give us a small extra gym. They had to cut it because they didn't have the money for it at the end because it took so long. They said costs have gone up. So take that as a lesson, please. If you don't push to get started as soon as possible, let the planning go forever and ever, you might get less. So, but we are where we are, and they have promised us that they could add it later. They kept the space for it, and I do appreciate them being flexible to try to give us the option to add that space when we will inevitably need it in a few years if we can get the funding for it. But let me move on to Duke Ellington Field. That is another project that has been going for at least 5, 6, 7 years now, and it has not finished. It has started. At least it has started. There have been delays there as well, and that's too bad. But it should be opening this spring. I just want you to know how much our community misses it. It's been offline for about a year now, and that there's a track there that seniors, youth athletes love to use, and they cannot use it. And it's going to be spring soon, and we are nervous that it will not be available this spring. MacArthur High School, the new great growing high school that has kids from all over the city, the coach called me and asked me, will it be open for spring? I said, I'm sorry, man. I can't tell you that it will. I'll tell you that they're going to have lights there, Councilmember Louis George, and I want to say that many neighbors are okay with it. Many neighbors were concerned about it, but I do want to credit DPR, give credit where it's due. They tested the lights out, and it is, as they promised, very directed to the field only. They've been touting this technology for years. They showed it to me years ago, but we still didn't know what it'd be like where we are. And I think the technology has gotten even better because they got the dark sky certification that there is very little light pollution from that field. So I am satisfied. They tested it out in November. I got no complaints from neighbors, and we're good. We're ready for this. We just need it to be finished as soon as possible, please. With my remaining time, I'll talk to you about Hardy Middle School. I don't know if that's under your committee or not, but we pushed and pushed because that school is getting overcrowded. Their cafeteria is too small, Chair Louis George. The kids are eating lunch on the floor every day in the winter, and some warmer weather to be outside. We finally have the cafeteria project started. We needed to get done before the school year starts next year. And with that, I will say thank you for all your support and look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next, we will hear from, I don't see Francois. So Jessica Nugent, DC Action.
Hi. Give me a second. Okay, can you see and hear me okay? Is my camera on?
I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry, my laptop is being a little slow. Can you still hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. Should I just go and then eventually my video will turn on?
Yeah, you can do that. That works.
Okay. So Good Committee on Facilities. My name is Jessica Nguyen, and I am a policy fellow at DC Action. I am testifying today on behalf of providers in the Out of School Time Coalition, which represents dozens of community organizations delivering high-quality youth programming across the district. So DPR plays a critical role in the OST ecosystem. Many providers rely on DPR partnerships for space and funding that allow them to serve young people across DC. Today, I will share coalition feedback focused on 3 key issues: coordination, communication and facility challenges, and equitable access to DPR spaces. First, coordination. The Deputy Mayor for Education's Learn24 office operates Most DC, a centralized enrollment platform intended to streamline access to OST programs, including DPR programs. In practice, families attempting to register for DPR programs through Most are redirected to a separate DPR system and must re-enter their information. So for working parents, especially those enrolling multiple children, this fragmented process creates unnecessary barriers and may discourage participation for their kids in out-of-school time altogether. Second, providers consistently report communication challenges with DPR that directly impact program quality. These include delays in facility repairs, difficulty accessing program spaces, inconsistent information about availability, and limited responsiveness. As a result, OST staff are often forced to troubleshoot facility and safety issues instead of focusing on youth programming. In some cases, unresolved maintenance concerns have disrupted services or created unsafe conditions. Third, providers report inconsistent access to DPR facilities and fields, including difficulty reserving space and a lack of transparency in the booking process. There have been instances where requests are denied, yet facilities appear unused. While some providers have experienced strong collaborative partnerships with DPR, and we appreciate those examples, this level of coordination is not consistent across all sites. Providers are seeking clear, equitable, and reliable access to DPR managed spaces. DPR's cooperation is essential to supporting youth enrichment, health, and safety across the district. We believe improved coordination, communication, and transparency would significantly strengthen the OST ecosystem. I will be submitting written testimony later that you can read for full details. And I also want to add that we are happy to follow up privately with committee staff to offer additional context in order to ensure that providers' feedback is shared in a confidential manner. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Sumaya Lane.
Thank you, Councilwoman Lewis George, for hearing my testimony and members of the Oversight Committee. I want to make a quick correction in my written testimony that I did submit, that this testimony is before the Cultural Affairs Committee when in fact it's before the DC Parks and Rec. So I want to make that correction. My name is Samaya Lane, and I'm a third generation Washingtonian. I grew up in Petworth, but I currently live in Ward 7. I am a community advocate. I am a founder of System Supports for Social Stability, a nonprofit organization dedicated to strengthening social infrastructure through arts, culture, and community engagement. I would like to say that I am a former nurse educator at St. Elizabeth's Hospital and currently an author of The Vegetarian Fox, which builds emotional intelligence in children. I recently became a friend of the Diamond Teak Park, which is located at 100 Potomac Avenue Southeast, directly across the street from the Nats Stadium. When I became a friend, this particular park was in horrible disarray, and it had been so since 2019. So I'm asking, just for summary, to preserve the historic, in this park is called the Capitol Pump House, which is a structure that was designated a part of the park in a 2010 resolution from Mayor Fenty designating the Capitol Pump House as a part of the Diamond Teak Park. So I'm coming before you right now to preserve the historic Capitol Pump House at Diamond Teak Park, to rename the Capitol Pump House as the Gaby L. Fraser Arts and Humanities Center, and reopen the facility to public enjoyment, arts, and cultural programming. Ensure access and activation for my organization to provide programming for the residents of the District of Columbia to enjoy. I want to give you just a little bit of background about the historic significance. The Capitol Pump House was built in 1906 and is an important historic structure on the Anacostia Riverfront that has stood for more than a century and witnessed the evolution of our city's riverfront and neighborhoods. However, since 1994, the Earth Conservation Corps has been the steward of this site. And the presence at the pump house and adjacent park is documented as a part of the development of what is now the Diamond Teak Park, named in honor of a young ECC member whose community commitment exemplified service. However, he was cut down in 2004 due to gun violence. The current condition of this and call for action is that this pump house and park was closed to the public for the past 6 years due to non-functioning systems and bathroom facilities, rendering the facility unusable for community events, learning, arts, or cultural engagements. This closure deprives district residents, families, youth of access to an important civic, cultural, and educational resource adjacent to a key segment of the Anacostia River Walk Trail, which itself serves as a major public waterfront connection to the district. Since initiating the agreement with DC Parks and Rec to serve as a friend of the Diamond Teak Park, I have established a strong working relationship with DPR's outreach and community engagement team, which has been responsive so far and collaborative in planning community center program. I have submitted a proposed programming for the park from the time period of April 2026 to June. However, it needs to be approved, and I'm still waiting to hear from that. So the request for a resolution would, and I'm asking that the council respectfully adopt, recognize the Capitol Pump House as a historic structure, renaming the building Gaby L. Fraser Arts and Humanities Center, support funding, project planning, and repairs to the structure. And so in conclusion, I'm for too long, the Capitol Pump House has remained closed, and we respectfully request that the council support of this resolution to ensure that this important historic landmark is preserved, reopened, renamed, and activated in service to the residents of the District of Columbia. I thank you for your attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Last, we will hear from Kalia Jackson, the Director of Development and Communications for Midtown Youth Academy.
Good morning, Chairwoman Lewis George, members of the council, and staff of the Committee of Facilities. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Kalia Jackson, the Director of Development and Communications for Midtown Youth Academy, an organization that has helped thousands of youth in the district win both inside the boxing ring, in the classroom, and at home since 1977 in Ward 1 and since 2022 in Ward 4. I appreciate the opportunity to share observations on how the Department of Park and Recreation and the district at large grant making can better align with the reality of nonprofit oversight. By focusing on administrative capacity and transparency, we can build a more resilient infrastructure that ensures small nonprofits not only meet district standards, but exceed them. Midtown Youth Academy has consistently translated district investment into tangible outcomes for youth, education, and wellness. Over the past 3 years, we have successfully managed multiple equipment grants, consistently exceeding programmatic milestones while maintaining compliance and fiscal stewardship. Despite this demonstrated reliability, our repeated applications for general operating support have been unsuccessful, and the absence of constructive feedback has limited our ability to align future proposals with districts' evolving priorities. This experience underscores a strategic opportunity to refine the review process for operating and capacity building grants. Unlike the prescriptive benchmarks of equipment and program-specific funding, the criteria for administrative support often lack the same clarity. Strengthening the feedback loop for these essential grants would help small yet high-performing nonprofits better align their internal growth with the district's long-term goals and strengthen future applications. Effective oversight and rigorous compliance require more than just intent. They require dedicated administrative capacity. While the district holds community-based nonprofits to high standards of reporting and safety, there is often a funding gap for the very staff needed to manage these functions. To ensure long-term stability and prevent burnout, it is essential that funding models evolve to support the operational backbone that makes programmatic success possible. This challenge is indicative of a broader systemic trend within district funding structures where administrative capacity is often deprioritized. Despite being the foundation of transparency and programmatic success, operational support remains underfunded. Small community-rooted nonprofits are the primary lifeline for districts' most vulnerable youth. By prioritizing consistent operating support and transparent feedback loops, the district can empower these organizations to exceed compliance standards and build the internal infrastructure necessary to attract private and corporate investment. I respectfully encourage the district to continue evolving its grant-making framework to prioritize organizational capacity and transparent communication. By investing in the administrative backbone of proven partners, the district can enhance oversight, ensure long-term nonprofit stability, and maximize the collective impact on youth we serve. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Want to thank this panel of witnesses and just affirm, Sabrina, I know the executive is working on proposals to acquire multiple plots of natural land from the National Park Service. If or when the district gets control over that land, I want to make sure Empower DC is included in the discussions.
Yes.
And hopefully, my hope is that Empower DC can help with the green plans, you know, with that and the work you all have done. How have you all talk about some of the things you all done to help green plans for our current parks?
Well, the only park that we have here in Ivy City is Lewis Crow Park, and then we're anticipating the urban space at Cromell.
Yeah.
That's the only two spaces that we have. We're not currently doing anything with parks on this side, but we are encouraging green spaces.
Yep.
And making sure that parks are maintained, especially for the communities and especially for those that are unhoused, because they use those parks to stay warm or to stay cool. And plus it's a cooling, having parks and green space help with cooling. And Ivy City is an urban heat island. We have a lack of green space, and we are encouraging more green space and less industrial uses, less concrete. And so we have been working with Stella with the blue-green infrastructure. And we are, in different communities, we're talking about how we can improve the green space, if not in the parks, but how we can go up vertically, especially at our bus stops. So that's just some of the work. With Lewis Pro Park, we had worked to plan the Ivy City Resiliency Strategy Plan. And that's specifically for that park because we have historic heat and flooding. So that's supposed to mitigate that and serve not only as a park, but as a bioretention
Yeah.
area.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Mhm.
Commissioner Pota, you know, the future of JLF is important to me as I went to the Boys and Girls Club, you know, and know growing up the program and how much it enriches the youth there. Councilmember Pinto and I worked together to restore DPR's cut to funding the club in the fiscal year 26 budget. You brought up an important point about delays. Not only is the project late, but the initial budget covers less and less every year. Contracts are not signed and materials are not purchased. And during these delays, you know, did the community push to increase the project's budget, even if it resulted in further delays? You know, what has been the community's back and forth with DPR as it relates to sort of making sure the renovations meet the goals and desires of the community, and how have they communicated any impacts that the design changes in the design would have on further delay, or do you think budget increases were ever seriously explored here?
My constituents would like to see this started and finished. It's been almost a decade already, and the kids, the parents and the kids who were waiting for it then, they're teenagers now. The little kids today are going to be, you know, almost teenagers by the time this is finished, if it starts today. You know, it's going to be a long construction. This is a complete, you've been there, complete raise and destruction and rebuild. So it's not going to be a short construction. We're waiting for this. We don't have a public indoor gathering space except for this old building. And so while it's gone, we're going to miss it and we're going to need it. The weather's getting worse. Like this winter, it would have been nice to have. Yeah, so we really do want it to start. And we can, I appreciate, as I said, at least they did promise, DPR did promise that they will keep it so it's modular and can be added. The extra space can be added. That was the one big reduction. You know, most rec centers have one gym. We were asking for more because ours is very used. We asked for two big ones. They said no. They said we'll give you an auxiliary extra gym for, you know, so you could have basketball and yoga at the same time, basketball and martial arts. And that was very appreciated. The space is still waiting there. It's in their plan. The space is still there. They just need to build it. They're going to need the money to do it. And we can always add that later. Let's get this project done. I don't want to lose any more time and any more you know, funding, any more ability. It's the lesson has been learned. Time is money.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. We'll be following up with DPR during the hearing to try to get some exact timelines and deadlines that the goal is for them to stick to. And so we look forward to working with you and the community continue to get this done for you all.
I really appreciate it. Thank you, Chair.
Jessica Nguyen, we've been hearing a lot about inconsistent access to fields and are considering multiple bills that would alter the current permit system, including through the prioritization categories. I'd appreciate DC Action's input on those bills, and my staff will be in touch about it. Have you all noticed a pattern in the inconsistent access in terms of, is it better for specific fields or wards or better at certain times?
Yeah. So just to clarify, your question is, have we at DC Action noticed a pattern in like needs for particular fields and times?
Yeah, in the inconsistent access. So like in terms
Okay.
of yeah, is it better for specific fields or wards or better at certain times? Like what patterns have you all noticed in exploring field access across the portfolio?
Yeah. So I will have to get back to my team just so I can make sure that I have all of the data right for you. But we can definitely get in touch with the committee to share this.
Of course. And do you know what prioritization category OST providers submit permits under by chance?
I do not have that information on me right now. Yeah, repeat that again.
I guess because I'm trying to understand whether providers experience getting denied permits because an application for the same space at the same time was granted to a group with a higher prioritization. So I just wanted to know if you knew sort of the prioritization category OST providers are, to kind of get a sense of whether that was playing into the denial of space.
Oh, yes, that is a great question that I will also get back to my team on because I want to make sure I have the right answers for you.
Yeah, no problem. Totally fine. We're gonna follow up with you all as we are considering multiple bills about current permit system, and so we look forward to being in partnership about that. And then Ms. Lane, I want to the Capitol Pump House at Diamond Teak Park. I would love to come out and actually have me and my staff come out to see it.
I
And
would really love that.
yeah, okay, great. We'll work with you to schedule some time to come out and see it, and that way we can also better advocate for renaming it and getting it redone. And so I want to kind of see this in person. And that's what we'll do. We'll schedule a time, preferably when it's not snow and freezing. So we'll do it when we get a little warmer temperatures. We'll schedule that out. But we'll be following up with DGS no matter what in March during their hearing to get a sense of what it would take to see all the goals that you outlined achieved.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
No problem. And the same, Kalia, thank you you mentioned the need to to make changes to DPR's grant making framework. What type of changes you think would be most beneficial that DPR could be using and replicating to make organizations like yours more effective and strategic in how you all are able to be consistent in delivering services and not worried about grants being renewed or not renewed?
Thank you again for your time. So DPR has grants for equipment, support, travel, and then also the operating grant. And that's for general support. And that is what a lot of nonprofits need because that's what's going to pay your staff members. Right now, we've applied for that a couple of times and did not get the operating grant. We finally got the equipment grant, which we are very, very appreciative of. However, there's not without staff members here to supervise them using the equipment. And so if we are unable to receive those grants, maybe because other organizations, had a better performance, or maybe they turned their grant application in first, or whatever the reason may be, we at least need some feedback as to these are some of the things we noticed in your application so that we could better apply the next time. But what we receive is you didn't get the grant. From there, you have no way to better yourself. You have no way to try to get it the next time. And, it's disheartening. And it's not just DPR. It literally is most of the grant programs throughout the district. And they keep giving it to the same organizations, which is understandable. They're performing, and they get the grant. However, it's hard for organizations such as us who have been around for almost 5 decades, but at a certain point we had to close down and revitalize ourselves and move to a different ward, which now we're in Ward 4. So we're in the building stages since 2022. We really need that support to ensure that we can remain open. Right now we have 1 paid staff member. So if that's paid 1 staff member is sick, we have to rely on a volunteer. I'm not that paid staff member. I am unpaid and do at least 25 hours a week to make sure this organization is running, right? So if we were able to hire someone in the position that I'm in, or to pay me, we would staff member because we don't want to lay someone off after 6 months or after a year or not be able to do things for the youth. So you have to be fiscally responsible and make sure that you're using the money properly. We can only afford one paid staff member. So we would like to be able to move up to 3 staff members. We know we can help more youth. We've helped thousands since 1977, and we want to continue to do so.
Absolutely. Okay, well, I appreciate that. We'll do our best to try to support and help and get because you all do amazing work. I know you're located in Ward 4 on Georgia Avenue, and we can see you all in there doing the work. And so we want to be helpful partners. And you do need that additional staff, and you're working hard, and you deserve to have compensation for the work that you're doing. So thank you for bringing this to our attention, and we'll try to work this out and work this through with DPR. And Mrs. Lane, I see your the hearing for Office of Planning is on March 26th. So we'll try to get out there before that hearing is scheduled.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So thank you again to this panel. We're going to move to our next panel. Again, reminder to upload all of your testimonies to our hearing management system so that we can get responses from DPR and so that it can be a part of the record. We're going to move to our fourth panel, which includes Jason Gross, DC Scores, Daniel Bainum, Volo Sports, Peggy Rahman, Policy Council, ACU of DC, Eric Angel, Executive Director, DC Greens, Nicole Retland, the President and CEO of EcoGen Urban Solutions, LLC, and Claire Mills, DC Campaigns Manager, Chesapeake Climate Action Network. Fine.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. All right, Jason, you are up first.
Thank you, Councilmember Lewis George. My name is Jason Gross, and I'm the Senior Director of Programs, Soccer, and Operations at DC Scores. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak today on behalf of DC Scores. We are a nonprofit serving more than 3,500 district kids at 68 DC public and public charter schools through our soccer, poetry, and service learning programs, which we offer at no cost to families or schools. We are a legacy of the 1994 World Cup and have been serving kids in the district across the district for 30 years. Over our 30-year history, we've had consistent partnership with the DPR in lots of different ways. I want to thank Director Freeman, who is always looking for new ways to partner and positively impact young people across our city. The DPR permitting process ensures that we are able to consistently access high-quality fields at the schools and neighborhoods where our participants live and access our programming. Additionally, we have partnered to run leagues or Saturday programming to ensure more kids in the first and second grade can engage in our Junior Scores program. Over the last couple of years, we have also received support from DPR's Rec for All grants. This support has been critical to meeting the growing demand for our programming, as we currently have a 20-school wait list. As you know, OST programs are more than a stopgap for unsupervised hours. They're a powerful, proactive investment in a child's life, and OST programs have had a measurable impact on their physical health, academic engagement, and overall well-being. At DC Scores, we impact a few categories: physical health, academic engagement, social emotional well-being being a few. In the physical health category, our programming offers a structured, safe, and engaging environment for physical activity. 80% of our students in our program show measurable improvements in their aerobic capacity, and on average, POH athletes get 4 to 6 times more organized physical activity than their peers. In the category of academic engagement, DC Scores POH athletes attend school more often and score higher on standardized ELA and math tests than their peers. Engaging with students on the field and through the arts allows for deeper relationships between teachers, students, families, and their schools, positively impacting student engagement. For the social emotional well-being, our POH athletes are encouraged to find their voices and build confidence. 95% of DC Scores participants report discovering something they're good at. 98% feel safe at DC Scores, and 97% felt more confident. These outcomes illustrate the critical role of OST programs in nurturing well-rounded, emotionally resilient youth. Our program runs 5 days a week during the critical after-school hours, and how youth spend time outside the classroom dramatically impacts their social emotional learning, academic engagement, and community safety. DC Scores provides structured programming, caring, qualified mentors, and outlets for expression, empowering the kids we serve with the skills and responsibilities to be leaders and positive influences in their communities. To demonstrate the power of strong partnerships like DC Scores and DPR, I'd like to share a poem written and performed by Raymond Elementary School team this year at the Poetry Slam. I Think I Can. This is a group poem by Raymond Elementary School. When things get tough and I think I should quit, I take a deep breath and say, you got this. The road may be long, the climb may be steep, but I'll chase my dreams. I will not sleep. Mistakes will be made, but that's okay. Each one helps me learn along the way. I will rise, I will stand. I believe in myself, and I think I can. Strong is my heart, bright is my mind. No mountain too tall, no dream too grand. My goals I will reach. I know I can. Thank you.
Thank you. That poem was much better than my DC Scores poem that I wrote in 5th grade. I'm so glad the quality of poems have.
I appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, Jason.
All right.
Next, we will hear from Daniel Bainum, Volo Sports. Bainum, let me know.
Bainum, yep, you nailed it. Yeah. That's where, I've been on enough of these now. I was like, they're getting to know me. They're saying
That's
it right.
right. We're saying it right. That's how.
Thank you all. Normally I'll freestyle, but I came ready to rock with a doc. So let me get there. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Daniel Bainum. I'm the general manager for Volo Sports here in the district. We are the city's largest adult social sports provider and the city's largest sports permit holder. Thank you for letting me take a few moments to speak about Volo, our work in the district, and our relationships with DPR. So Volo Sports has been operating in the district's parks for over 7 years with the goal of building community, fostering genuine humor and genuine human interactions. With our 15 sports offerings at the core, we provide opportunities for adults of all ages to get active and social in district spaces and communities all throughout the city, but highlighting a few: Adams Morgan, downtown, Chinatown, Shaw, Navy Yard, many others, like I said. We also partner with over 30 local businesses. That's just last year. As we have them host our players, we market and promote those local businesses, generating foot traffic and sales. We'll run events. And just this past year, we had over 120,000 registrations across the city. Our players have shown their commitment to not only our community, but just their passion and love for obviously sports and activities. And in the last year, generating about a 60%, a little over a 60% player retention rate, which is also great to highlight in especially such a transient city when you talk about young professionals in Washington, D.C. The impact of Volo goes beyond just our work with adults in the district. Volo Sports partners with Volo Kids Foundation, a nonprofit organization. Off the cuff, we love DC Scores, so we are of the same. We're aligned on the same mission to keep kids healthy and active. So we run free kids programming throughout the city as well. We donate profit. Volo Adults donates profits and leverages infrastructure such as office and things like that for the for-profit company to create these free opportunities for organized play for kids who may not otherwise be able to afford it. So there's absolutely no cost to any of our families, regardless if it's a DPR school, any public program. That's always the case. Since its launch in the district, Volo Kids has registered 11,679 kids for free sports programs and has engaged over 2,300 volunteers. Our offerings to Volo kids have continued to grow exponentially year over year as our footprint with the Volo adults has grown. Volo's relationship with city government, especially the Department of Parks and Recreation, is critical to our success in serving kids and adults in the district. We appreciate the work of Director Freeman, Chris Tierney, Dave Sachs, the whole team over there, as well as our friends at DGS in their team who do what they can with, we know, the limited resources to oversee the permitting process and access to the limited city spaces. As exhibited by Volo's commitment to creating free programming through Volo Kids, we recognize the impact that organized sports can have on the lives of young people. We remain committed to working with the city to ensure that programming for youth receives priority for permits and city resources. With that said, Volo's adult sports community in the district is strong and has a considerable economic impact to the city. For tens of thousands of 21 to 40-year-olds, general demographics, Volo programming is a core component of their social lives. It keeps young people living in the district. It encourages them to frequent city spaces, local businesses, meaning, and on top of that, bars and restaurants all over the city. As the committee evaluates DPR's 2025 performance and considers ways the agency can continue to serve the district, we hope to maintain a collaborative partnership with you. This is especially important as the committee considers bills impacting the agency, such as B26-0112 and B26-0132. We want to work with you to ensure that the adult social sports community remains vibrant. Thank you. Ooh, right on time.
Yeah, thank you. Next, we will hear from Peggy. Is it Raymond? Ramen? I didn't know how to.
Raymond, that's correct.
Raymond.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful.
Thank you and good morning, almost good afternoon, Chairwoman Lewis George. My name is Peggy Raymond. I am the Policy Counsel at the American Civil Liberties Union of the District of Columbia. Thank you for the opportunity to present testimony today on behalf of our over 14,000 members and supporters across the district. The ACLU of DC shares with you and the members of this committee what we believe to be a common goal: empowering our young residents to lead healthy, productive lives, making our communities safer, stronger, and more resilient. To achieve our goal of a safer, stronger DC, we believe the Council and the Department of Parks and Recreation must prioritize programs, services, and facilities that support our communities, provide holistic security, and invest in the incredible potential of our young people. Our recent report, Building Safety Through Resources, A Better Path to Public Safety in DC, outlines this public safety approach centered on prevention and support rather than over-reliance on policing and incarceration. As you know, for many young people, critical services and supports are sometimes only offered after they've already become engaged with the criminal legal system. Early intervention in the form of well-funded and well-implemented programming, facilities, and supports can really make all the difference for a child's development. The Council and the Department of Parks and Recreation should invest in the creation of places where young people feel that they belong, safe spaces where kids can be kids. We believe that the imposition of policies like onerous curfew requirements on young people do not make our communities safer. Rather, they further criminalize youth and put more kids at risk of getting caught up in an already troubled legal system. DC really must prioritize non-carceral approaches to public safety that address these underlying challenges that so many young people face, partnering with DC youth and community leaders, many of whom we've heard from already today, to create these meaningful interventions. When developing programming, best practices suggest that youth crime prevention programs should be primarily community-based, led by community organizations. We're really glad to see council members introduce legislation that recognizes this need for community-led and community-centered opportunities, including Councilmember Pinto's Prosper DC plan, which includes the Teen Center Establishment Amendment Act of 2025, Chairwoman Lewis George, you have been a great advocate for our pools and recreation centers, important spaces where young people can gather safely. We encourage all council members to continue to replicate these really effective models into future program and facility development plans. The Department of Parks and Recreation has made strides toward the development of programming and facilities designed to meet the community's needs and provide this diversionary these diversionary alternatives for young people. Aquatic programming, food and nutrition services, well-maintained and staffed facilities, and community programs are all really important ways the department can serve young people and their families. In particular, we know there's a continued need for out-of-school time activities. After school and evening programming in particular provides a safe, supportive, and structured after-school environment for kids and for teens, providing caregivers with a secure place for their child to receive this supervision and social development. The Department of Parks and Recreation's break camps and teen programming, including leadership development programs and mobile recreation activities, provide additional enrichment and recreation for kids. We urge the department to just really continue to increase and improve these offerings geared toward our young people. To help our young people really thrive and avoid, the school to prison pipeline, DC's elected officials, advocates, and communities must prioritize these non-carceral approaches to public safety that address the underlying challenges that so many of our young people are facing. Young people and their families need continued investment in programming that builds leadership skills and confidence, and facilities that provide a structured, safe environment for kids to grow. When we invest in the district's youngest residents, as we all know, we're investing in solutions that really provide a holistic sense of security for our communities across the city. The ACLU DC is ready to work with you and alongside community partners towards a safer, stronger DC for all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony. And next we will hear from Eric Angel, Executive Director, DC Greens. Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm Eric Angel, ED of DC Greens, which is an organization dedicated to advancing health equity by building a just and resilient food system. At DC Greens, we believe that food is health, food is medicine, food is a human right. I'm here to testify about our deep appreciation for DPR and its partnership with DC Greens in nurturing and sustaining the well at Oxen Run, our urban farm and wellness space. In addition, I'll discuss how further support, if possible, for essential DPR initiatives can empower organizations like ours to strengthen community health and well-being. As you know, DC Greens operates the well located within Oxen Run Park in Ward 8. The well is in a very sense a community project, a community resource. It's located in Congress Heights, welcomes more than 4,000 visitors annually, distributes more than 7,000 pounds of produce, including beans and broccoli, bok choy, blueberries, blackberries, and those are just the bees. The well is an exciting, vibrant place. We open the week of March 24th, and we're honored to host you or your staff or anyone on the committee during our 5th growing season. This unique project could not be possible without the collaboration from DPR and also the Green Scheme, our friends of Oxen Run, as well as many other community organizations. But DPR continues to demonstrate itself to be a highly competent, responsible, and reliable agency with respect to our work. We deeply value the partnership. And although this is not a budget hearing, and I realize this is going to be a brutal budget season, I note that DPR's great partnership is not enough. In the early years of the well, DC Greens received a $500,000 grant from DPR supporting the well, funding that remains just as essential today. And I will say that I think you might be interested that funding is even more critical than ever because, inflation, but most importantly, the significant federal funding cuts. The recent elimination of SNAP-Ed, which is an effective evidence-based USDA program, resulted in the loss of key funding for the well. SNAP-Ed enabled us last year to offer culturally relevant cooking demonstrations, food as medicine classes for residents who are managing chronic disease, gardening workshops, other essential nutrition education programs. In addition, a major EPA contract supporting the well was summarily terminated by the federal government, though that decision is currently under appeal, fortunately, and not been implemented yet. But I do think this is a tough environment, and we're very fortunate to have DPR's cooperation in the important and invaluable work supporting community farms and wellness spaces like the well. But even more must be done. We truly appreciate the partnership with DPR, look forward to continuing to work together with the council, DPR in the months and years to come. Thank you for your time, for your consideration, and your support.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Nicole Ratlin.
Good morning, Chairwoman and members of the committee. I am a Ward 7 resident of 25 years and a doctoral graduate of Howard University. Today, I'm actually representing DC Go-Go Trails Collective east of the river. It's a community-based initiative working to create a safe and interconnected network of land and water trails in Ward 7 and 8 that will ultimately bring all residents together, connect us to parks and nature. Our vision is a thriving and healthier and more connected community east of the river. We believe that equitable trail access will foster joy, social connection, and improved health outcomes, as well as community pride. We advance our work through community walks, audits, youth engagement, public meetings, and listening sessions to ensure that residents are meaningfully engaged in shaping the future of their neighborhoods. Currently, we're receiving technical assistance from the National Park Service, Rivers, Trails, and Conservation Assistance Program. We collaborate with a broad coalition of community organizations such as WABA, Marshall Heights Community Development Organization, Pope Branch Park Restoration Alliance, Fairlawn Citizens Association, DuPont Parks Civic Association, and Anacostia Parks and Community Collaborative, as well as working along with DDOT. Today, I strongly urge your support for advancing the proposed Shepherd Branch Trail. It's a 3.1-mile multi-use trail. It's been in the works for about 20 years. We'd like to see that project come through fruition. It's a critical infrastructure investment that will significantly improve our connectivity, public health, safety, environmental resilience, and economic opportunity for residents east of the river. The trail follows an inactive CSX rail corridor adjacent to I-295 and South Capitol Street Southeast. It's also it's actually directly behind the Joy Evans Therapeutic Center, so it provides a key access point to the Anacostia Park as well as the Anacostia River Walk Trail. So sort of why do the trails matter and why are we pushing for Shepherd Branch? Trails serve people of all ages, abilities, and income levels. It can support daily transportation, physical activity, recreation, and mental well-being. It presents an opportunity to transform a historic discontinued rail corridor into a safe, accessible, and connected commuter and recreational trail. Again, just highlighting health and well-being. Residents in Ward 7 and 8 experience disproportionately high rates of heart disease, diabetes, obesity, asthma, cancer, and mental health challenges. So we see this as also a solution to help address that by reducing stress, increasing physical activity, and access to parks. Also provides safe transportation and connectivity. As I mentioned, it will connect us to the Anacostia Riverwalk Trail, giving us access to the RFK campus, Anacostia Park. It connects local schools. Right now we have working with Anacostia High School, train stations. There's Anacostia Metro Station, commercial corridors, excuse me, Minnesota Avenue, Pennsylvania Avenue, Martin Luther King Jr. and Marion Barry Avenue Southeast. So it's safe, offers safe commuting for our youth, seniors, and everyday walking and biking. Environmental and stormwater management. Currently on Fairlawn Avenue, they experience quite a bit of flooding, which I'm thinking we're prepared to have that as the snow melts and the ice melts. So that makes the community very vulnerable to flooding. And so seeing this is also an opportunity to mitigate that localized flooding. Workforce development, so there's trail maintenance, of course, and creating pathways to stable employment, skills training, and long-term economic mobility for residents of Ward 7 and 8. And what we're asking is that the Shepherd Branch Trail represents a strategic investment in transportation equity, public health, and environmental justice. So we're asking for funding to be prioritized to plan, design, and construct, as well as to advance interagency coordination among DPR and DOEE. And together, we believe we can deliver on a 20-year promise. So we thank you for your leadership and your commitment to our Ward 7 and 8, to the overall District of Columbia. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And lastly, we will hear from Claire Mills.
Good morning, Councilmember Lewis George. Thanks for the opportunity to testify today. I'm Claire Mills. I live in Ward 1, and I'm the DC Campaigns Manager for the Chesapeake Climate Action Network Action Fund. Our grassroots nonprofit aims to turn the entire Chesapeake region into a leader in climate justice and has worked for 20 years to advocate for policies that move us towards a healthier, safer future. In 2021, this council passed the Green Food Purchasing Amendment Act, critical legislation designed to reduce the carbon footprint of food purchased with DC taxpayer dollars, 10% reduction by 2025, 18% by 2027, and 25% by 2030. But the truth is this law is not being implemented. I most often come to the council to talk about emissions from fossil fuels, how to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions coming from our buildings, but addressing emissions from food is a key piece of addressing the climate crisis as well, because food is the second largest contributor to global greenhouse gas emissions right after those fossil fuels. And no matter where they come from, all emissions are felt the same: harsher temperatures and less predictable weather that changes the very fabric of the climate around us. The Green Food Purchasing Amendment Act doesn't require new appropriations. It doesn't demand any technological breakthroughs. It simply asks our agencies to make small shifts in public procurement that leads to big benefits for our climate. 7 DC agencies, including the Department of Parks and Recreation, spend more than $10,000 annually on food purchases. And these 7 agencies have the power right now to demonstrate climate leadership through their procurement decisions. These are 7 agencies that need to meet the reduction targets to comply with district law. And implementing this law isn't just about cutting emissions. When we shift towards lower carbon food purchasing while simultaneously supporting our local farmers and food producers, we're making nutritious, healthy food more accessible across our communities, and we're investing in food that actually tastes good, food that's grown by people in our own communities. This is what co-benefits look like in practice: climate action that strengthens our economy, improves public health, and builds community resilience all at once. Councilmember, I'm asking you today to provide oversight support to ensure the district's climate laws are actually enforced. The Department of Parks and Recreation needs to hear that this council expects compliance and not excuses. They need to understand that 2025 is here and gone, and the 10% reduction target isn't a suggestion, it's the law. Climate change isn't waiting for us to get around to it. Our children and neighbors most impacted by extreme heat, flooding, and food insecurity aren't asking for perfection. They're asking us to use the tools we already have. We passed a good law, and now it's time to prove that we mean it. Thank you for your time.
Right. Thank you so much. We are going to ask just a few questions so we can get to the next panel. I wanted to ask Jason, we've heard testimony today and at a previous hearing on recreational permitting. What prioritization category does DC SCORE submit permits under? Do you know?
I'm not sure. I have to get that information from my staff.
Okay. I'm just wondering, have you all had any issues with getting permits denied because an application for the same space at the same time was granted to a group with like a higher prioritization?
I would say where we're currently experiencing some challenges is where I think DCIAA and charter schools are coming into play. I think they get first stab at permits. And I think with the removal of historical permits in that space, we're on the back end of trying to access space that we traditionally have had space. So take a Raymond Elementary or spaces that may have dual use, such as a turkey thicket, where there's also baseball happening. But we also run soccer in the grass areas. So we are encountering some of those challenges. And I think with our scale, that becomes very difficult. So I think finding a way even to partner more closely with DCIAA and the Public School Charter Association to get ahead of those things, because we're all serving the same kids,
That's right.
would be extremely helpful.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that insight. We were just curious about that. Daniel, I wanted to see you all do a lot of great programming for youth and adults. What are some things that we can do to sort of you've testified this previously at another hearing, but have you seen any improvements since then around permitting and just making it more efficient for organizations?
Well, since the last hearing, Jason also just mentioned the historical system that was in place was undone. So that's an update. I wouldn't say that was the greatest for groups that need to plan and families that need to rely on consistency. But that was sort of an announcement from DPR, I think, in January. That was kind of news, kind of not expected. But I did want to, a positive thing from an earlier testimony and a question that you asked regarding the pickleball and youth access. We actually piloted youth pickleball when Director Freeman was newly announced as the interim director back in 23 with the DPR summer camps. And so that's like, we love it. And it's a very accessible sport and very flexible sport with whatever space you can use. So like, we've leaned into it. We've reached out to DPR about continuing the growth of that, but they're busy, I guess. So not a lot of, haven't gotten responses there. So we've just kind of taken it and run with it. So it's still very much built into our youth programming with Volo Kids that will run on at gyms or with partner with schools. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. And I wanted to, we're going to continue to work with DPR around just like how we better allow more certainty for organizations and across the board around, permitting applications and, finding the right balance there that needs to happen given just the competition for space in the city. Peggy, I really, really appreciated your testimony. I resonate with those values very much so. You mentioned that a best practice for programming for youth crime prevention is that programs should be primarily community-based and led by community organizations. Can you elaborate on the reasons why community organizations are better suited than maybe agencies to do this prevention or diversion work? And do you think the district's community organizations currently have the capacity to do more of this work with DPR's existing offerings or potentially new programmings?
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. And I would be happy to share also the report that I referenced that we put out, the ACLU DC put out recently. But I think to your question, community-based organizations, as we've heard from so many folks on the various panels, are just so well positioned to be in contact with young people who are community members on a daily basis. I think that programming that teens in particular and kids can contribute to and inform by, speaking with those kids and finding out what their needs are, what their interests are, tends to be the most effective type of programming that keeps kids' interest, keeps them busy, that they actually, attend regularly. So I think that's, a important reason why it's so important for community-based organizations to be leading the development or at least informing the development of this programming.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I may have missed the second part of your question.
You answered it within it, which was basically sort of the district's current community organizations currently really having the capacity to do more of this work with DPR's existing offerings or potentially new programs. Do you think the district's community organizations have that capacity right now to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think a couple of folks have mentioned also, access to grants and streamlining those processes, which I know many of the folks on this call could speak to more intimately than I can. But I think that funding just is key to increasing the capacity of community organizations to be able to provide and develop this type of programming.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Sorry. Eric, I wanted to ask you, I understand the need for increased grant funding. I'm curious about DC Green's experience as a grant holder. Are there improvements to the application, decision, disbursements processes that need to be made? And what can we do to support more of our grant holders?
Yeah, so I'm newish to DC Green, so I'm a little bit less familiar with sort of our challenges with that process. I can provide you information if I do have it, but I will say that it's less the problems with, I mean, at least for us, there was, earmarked funds, which made it useful. We do periodically get individual grants from the district, and haven't had experience that they were, that there was problems filling out the forms or anything like that.
Yeah.
We just were given the district sustainability award, with other organizations, and that was an easy application process. So we found actually cooperative folks more than just, capacity issues. But if I have things that staff, bring to my attention, because I don't submit the grants,
Yeah.
I'll definitely let your committee know.
Yeah.
Your staff know.
Thank you. And then as far as DC Green's impact, are you all are what wards are you servicing primarily?
Well, we're Ward 8, and substantial visitors, obviously, in the Congress Heights neighborhood, which is what we're shooting for. We're on the end of the tail of Oxen Run Park.
Right.
We work with the Friends of Oxen Run. But Ward 7, obviously, is also, a substantial utilizer. But we're open to everyone, as you can imagine.
Okay.
It's on DPR land. And so folks come in from, PG County, too, because, it's a great space. We have, all this programming on the weekend that's, people want to come to, in addition to coming and harvest and keeping their food.
Yeah. And how are you all measuring your impact, and what has been your impact since starting?
Yeah, I mean, this is our 5th growing season that we're about to start, and we hope, are enhancing our impact along the way. We look at pounds distributed, pounds grown, pounds harvested. I've been telling folks that that's a really bad way of looking at things, because, how much does, herbs and parsley weigh? And that's, of course, and garlic, but those are, of course, incredibly important for community, culturally appropriate food. But we do, the number of volunteers, which was several thousands, because those are really useful, the number of people who come and harvest, the number of pounds distributed, and then our programming, how much programming, how many people attend programming. And each year, because we're a new, this is our 5th growing season, we're tightening the processes and improving them and trying to get, more events at the well and that sort of thing. We have a lot of people come, but we have more capacity to have far more people to come. So, including council members.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Nicole, you mentioned part of your work to ensure community input is being considered by DPR and MPS regarding equitable access to trails and green spaces during audits. Can you elaborate on what those audits look like and what they have found?
Absolutely. So currently, like I shared, our focused area is the Shepherd Branch Trail. So we have led community audits. We do it by section. So right now we have 4 segments for the Shepherd Branch Trail. So we start at Joy Evans Therapeutic Center, and the furthest we've gone so far is into the Anacostia Park. So crossing the I-295, so everyone gets that experience of what it's like to enter the park. I will say that Pennsylvania Avenue crossing right there in I-295, folks have commented that it is very dangerous and they would not go this way. So as you can imagine, we have residents from Ward 7 and 8 and also from our partners. So they have noted that is a very dangerous intersection. Perhaps maybe there's some lighting that could go there to alert cars that there are pedestrians crossing. We have noted that in the audit, comments have been around the Joy Evans Therapeutic Center. So right under 295, there are comments about, can this look like Jones Point? So if you were to cross over the CSX land into Anacostia Park, you can see that there is some potential there for it to be an activation space. So we've had high schoolers ask, can this be a gathering spot? We've had other folks say perhaps a skating park or some type of cultural element with murals and things like that, and perhaps some more picnic areas. And then they've also noted the closeness to the economic corridors. For example, right off Pennsylvania Avenue, we typically try to visit restaurants, and so they can see the access point, perhaps another space for community members and neighbors to gather. What they've also noted is a lot of illegal dumping happens right on Fairlawn Avenue. So we have engaged with Pope Branch in the annual cleanups with Anacostia River Keepers. So that's been very fascinating, and that gives us another perspective of what's happening in that space, what's being dumped, how much is being collected.
Yeah, thank you for that. I would love to, our team would love to follow up with you on you all's continued work there and what we can do to support that, because equitable access to trails has come up a number of times, just through conversations I've had throughout the city. And so we want to be partners with you all, as you do this work, and hope that the city will look to the work that you all are doing and see it as work that needs to happen from as well from the government perspective. You all are really giving a model to what they can do to follow or work in partnership with you all to clear some of these issues that we know continue to exist and persist. So thank you for that, and we look forward to digging in deeper with you all outside of the hearing on the audit work that you all are continuing to do. Claire, I wanted to come to you. You mentioned how implementation of the Green Food Purchasing Amendment Act would support local farmers and food producers. Can you elaborate more on how it would do so and what those co-benefits would look like for the district?
Sure. So, the best way to sort of get more in alignment with the targets outlined in the legislation is to move towards some more like homegrown fruits, vegetables, that kind of thing. Those have a lower carbon impact than like hot dogs, hamburgers at a cookout. And that kind of food is the type of food that we're producing in the district, and that some of our local producers produce. So by shifting what DPR is serving at some of these events to plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables that we can grow in the district, rather than these like more processed foods that have a higher carbon impact, but also are not made here in the district, then we can have more locally produced food. And that just drives, more business to our local producers and gives them a stable partnership working with DPR.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. We appreciate that. We do have some questions for DPR on the Green Food Purchasing Amendment Act, and so we look forward to receiving those answers and sharing them with you, and doing that extra follow-up. So I want to thank this entire panel for your testimony. Remind people to submit and upload your testimony to the hearing management system, and stay engaged with us as we enter into continuing this oversight of DPR for their hearing, as well as we go into the budget process and budget season as well. Many of you have testified numerous times before, and I hope to see you again for our budget hearings. We'll like to continue to do our work to follow up on getting continuing the good work that we're doing, but improving in the areas that we need to improve on. So thank you all so much. We will hear from our last and final panel today, which will be Max Broad, DC Voters for Animals, Tisha Cockrell, President of the Friends of Riggs LaSalle Recreation Center, David Donaldson, the Vice President, Friends of Tacoma Recreation Center, Karen Gall, the Chairwoman and Public Safety Director of 3D Third Citizens Advisory Council, and Eric Rosebar, LTA Tennis Director of the Lafayette Tennis Association. This is our last and final panel, so if you wish to testify and have not done so, if you are in the room, please, if you're here and want to testify, raise your hand so we can put you on this last and final panel. While we're waiting for people to come in. See, David. I'm looking for. All right, I don't see. Oh, there he is. Okay. All right, Max, I see you. We will start with you. Okay. All right. He was here. Oh, there you are. Thank you. Good afternoon.
You got me.
Yes, you are up first.
Okay, great. Thank you. Sorry, my computer decided to be all laggy right as I got transitioned to panelist. So thank you for having me. I'm continuing the conversation on the Green Food Purchasing Amendment Act. Thank you, Councilmember Lewis George and members and staff of this committee. The Green Food Purchasing Amendment Act is DC's food, governs DC's food related emissions, which are actually not going down. And in fact, they're on the rise. And so this bill, which was passed in 2021, set the schedule for DC to reduce food system emissions 25% by the year 2030. This is a big deal, as over 1/3 of climate pollutants come from food and agriculture. So as a means of assessing DC and the institutions implementing this bill, I created a simple rubric attached to my written testimony so you can visualize how the agency compared across DC writ large to see who's leading and where the opportunities are. I come today with a preview of DPR's results. So they received 2 points in 2 of 4 categories, and that's they submitted their data on food procurement to DOEE so that it could be measured and assessed how they're proceeding with the bill. And then also they attended a community of practice meeting for their colleagues across agencies who work on food procurement to learn together. And so they get a bonus point for that. So DPR received 6 points in total, which puts them honestly in the bottom of the pack. They're less than half of the points with the agency with the higher score, which is 13 points. So I'll just mention that I gave DPR a chance to preview the results, to review and provide feedback. But if there are other activities they should be recognized for, I welcome additions to their score. Looking forward, it's noteworthy that DPR has the highest per capita emissions of any agency. This is a problem, as DOE has identified that DPR often buys some of the highest carbon foods. These are, the Hummers of the world of cuisine. So DPR has done the minimum of providing their food procurement data to DOE, but they have yet to take steps to update their food procurement contracts to reflect the green food language identified by DOE, and they have yet to take known steps to shift food purchasing to be in compliance with the law. I'll note that it's 5 years after the law was passed. As I testified at the DPR roundtable, there are several ways to make food fun, healthy, and sustainable. I have attached the cookout and festive meal plans for the record as a demonstration that I'm here to be collaborative and support them in the process. I want to remind DPR that, I've worked in values-based food procurement for years, having served as the co-chair of DC Good Food Purchasing Program for the past 4 years, and have been in the sustainable sector for over 15 years. I'd also like to invite the committee and the agency to the release webinar in March when I release the final report on DC agency's progress with green food. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Tisha Cockrell.
Good afternoon, Councilwoman and Chair Janeese Lewis George. I appreciate being able to testify today. My name is Tisha Cockrell, and I'm the president of the Friends of Riggs LaSalle Recreation Center. We are partnered with DC Department of Parks and Recs, and we have worked together with several site directors and the ever-changing staff at our community Riggs LaSalle Recreation Center. We are here today per our previous testimonies since 2019 to the present via the Committee on Facilities Performance and Budget hearings. We wish to continue our plea to receive funds and assistance with site maintenance, repairs, additions, and new item requests. Some of our requests have been rectified, and for that, we as usual want to thank you. However, many items are still remaining pending or incomplete. So we recently participated in several calls, meetings, and discussions with the Department of Parks and Recs, DPR. The problem remains with our questions around work orders. In my last meeting with Department of General Services, which I just had a meeting with them again yesterday, the first meeting we were given a lesson around how work orders are entered and processed. However, the question still stands regarding whether these requests have been put in the pipeline. Ridge LaSalle Community Center employees tout having submitted work orders. Yet DPR and DGS claims that they do not see them in their systems. We requested a meeting with both DPR and DGS to discuss this process in person together. So I have a recent list per our meeting yesterday of some of our issues. So in regards to a new environmentally friendly turf field that replaces the current field, we have been informed that the project is underway. We are awaiting an actual date of start to completion. We have reached out to our Brett Cisco via email for more information, particularly concerning a walking track around the proposed new field. So they are having a Wards 3 and 4 meeting, I think, this evening. However, our biggest concern is having a community discussion in regards to the field and all that will take place in its replacement. Also, we are asking for enhanced security of the outdoor restrooms. I had another discussion with DGS yesterday, and again, we came to the conclusion we need a community discussion with DPR around how to handle this situation. The situation is the bathrooms had been locked previously per some community members, senior community members in the neighborhood, based on stories of issues of unsavory behavior in the bathrooms on the field. However, with new residents in the playground, the new residents would like to use the restroom when the recreation center is closed and they're on the playground, particularly on Sundays. So the outside 2 restroom locks are broken, and a ticket was submitted in October 2023. DGS says only 1 has been completed. So we need a community discussion around these bathrooms being locked or unlocked. Let me see. I am at work, so I'm not used to my usual setup. Give me 1 second. In terms of outdoor, I'm sorry, if those were outdoor activities, or instances, we're still waiting on the sunshade for the new playground. I know it was, listed in your budget, Councilmember Lewis George, but we have not been, privy to when the initial proposed dates are. We've been told some dates that situation will be, or that sunshade will be installed, but it has not yet been installed, and we're waiting still to find out when it will be. I think the last date we received was spring of 2025, summer of 2025, and here we are in winter of 2026. In regards to the indoor recreation center issues, we are looking to replace or repair the entrance door on Nicholson Street and have it ADA compliant. I do have testimony to submit for ODR, so I'm hoping ODR will be able to rectify this issue, but I need some information from DPR to see is it even budgeted and how ODR can help us. Also, replacing the HVAC system. The HVAC system that we currently have has been repaired and is quote unquote working fine, but we're supposed to have a new HVAC system installed, and we're still waiting to find out when is that going to happen. We're also looking for repainting of the building interior, a mural in the lobby, repair and replace windows in the multipurpose room, new fitness equipment for the weight room. We've been told that new equipment has been in a storage with DPR for 2 years, but because it's not all of the equipment, they're holding on to it. We would like to receive that fitness equipment that has been sitting in the storage for 2 years, if that has indeed been happening. Let's see. Same thing for a new ping pong and pool table. We've been told that it's somewhere in a storage room. We have not received it. Toilet paper in the restroom does not fit the toilet paper dispensers. I've seen it for myself. It's sitting on top of the toilet paper dispenser instead of being inside. We'd like to get that handled. The window in the exercise room will not shut. If open, it needs to be repaired. No wipes in the exercise room since 2023. Exercise room issues such as the treadmill not working. We need a complete set of new dumbbells and other exercise equipment, medicine balls, etc. The computer room, the senior room, multipurpose room, and arts and crafts room need new blinds. I did speak with DGS yesterday, and DPR is measuring for new blinds. I want to make sure that we actually get those. We're having an event coming up, and we would really like the rec center to look more presentable in terms of the windows. The computer room has 7 computers and only 1 computer is working. We have not been successful in having our senior computer class on Fridays because of this issue. And we're trying to find out how to get that handled. The TV in the computer room was not working. I'm trying to figure out the issue behind that. We do have information regarding the gym floor being resurfaced. A new work order was put in by the current site director, and they're scheduled to do that in April. And the senior room needs to be sanitized. So we're thankful for some of the assistance given to help us rectify and maintain our community center. We had hoped to keep this momentum going, but we had come to slow it down. So we're trying to come back up to speed and get all of our issues handled. And so we can move on to programming instead of still trying to get our rec center in good repair. And that's it for me. I look forward to questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from David Donaldson, the Vice President of the Friends of Tacoma Recreation Center.
Yeah, thank you. I have an unfortunate zoom on my webcam, so you can see my pores. I first want to thank you, Councilmember Louis George, for your inspired leadership in Ward 4, which is my home ward. I also want to acknowledge the committee and DPR staff and thank them for their public service. I am here as Vice President of the newly reestablished Friends of Tacoma Rec Center and as a member of the Dark Sky DC organization. And I happen to also live across 3rd Street from the Tacoma Recreation Center and Bryce Harper Field, where approximately a year ago, or a year ago in April, where DPR, without public consultation and very clearly without consideration for neighbors, turned on 2 banks of lights in the park that were not previously used and that shine directly at homes across 3rd Street, up Underwood Street, and even further into the neighborhood. These lights are very, very bright, and they truly negatively affect the quality of life in our community. As terrible as these lights are, I can say that being ignored by DPR for the better part of last year has made it even worse. I have sent well over 100 emails to city officials, and I have called and left nearly as many voicemails. On May 16, 2025, I wrote to DPR Director of External Affairs. I made clear in this communication that I am unable to fully participate in the activities and civic life as a resident of the District of Columbia in violation of what I consider my rights as a person with a disability. And I provided medical documentation of the way these lights affect my vision and my physical health. On June 13, 2025, a total of 17 people who are directly affected by the lights sent a petition to DPR director asking for a remedy. We noted that the lights create a public nuisance through light trespassing, limiting our ability to enjoy our private property from dusk until 9:30 every night of the week, and do not operate in accordance with the spirit of the DPR lighting guidelines adopted in February 2023. I also note for the committee that in communication with DGS, they indicated that these lights are older style halogen lights. Based on the type of light, the number of lights, and the number of hours the lights are on per day, I estimated an electricity use and cost of between $15,000 and $20,000 per year, with CO2 emissions equivalent to using as much as 4,000 gallons of gasoline per year. With the strong support of you and your staff, Councilmember Louis George, DPR has only recently and seemingly taken our issues more seriously. A study has been commissioned by DPR that looks at options for better lighting. The study has not been made public, but I am truly begging the Parks Department to take action to resolve this incredible public nuisance and update Bryce Harper field lighting to modern directed LED lights for the sake of our community, for the environment, and ultimately to save taxpayer money. And I note that these are the same kind of lights we're asking for that were discussed by an earlier testimony at Ellington Field in Ward 2. In addition, with support of my neighbors, the Friends of Tacoma Rec Center and the Dark Side DC, I encourage the DC Council to enact comprehensive law-based based on public input and best practices from other jurisdictions that provide standards for the type of lighting and the operation of lighting by DC Parks Department, as well as a formal process for affected residents to ask for remedy for lighting problems. I also want to quickly note to the committee that we as the Friends of Tacoma Rec Center have a number of other issues at the Tacoma Rec, including tennis courts without nets, limited access to public bathrooms, a swimming pool that is closed during DC high school swim season, and a lack of public engagement from DPR with users and community members about significant changes that are taking place in the park. We believe that DPR and DC can serve our park users, can be considerate of community members, and can protect the environment. And the organizations that I represent today are committed to bringing this vision to reality. Thank you for the opportunity to present these views.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for your advocacy and continued fight for Tacoma community and neighbors. Next, we'll hear from Karen, Chairwoman and Public Safety Director of 3D Citizens Advisory Council. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm Councilmember Louis George. I'm very grateful to be in front of you today for my testimony. I want to thank you for this opportunity to testify. I'm Karen Gall, Chairwoman and Public Safety Director for 3D CAC, the 3rd District Citizens Advisory Council. We serve 180,000 residents across all 8 police service districts in the 3rd District, in Ward 1, 2, part of 2, a little bit of 3, 4, 5. We're a partnership with MPD. Yesterday, I testified before the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee on the oversight hearing for the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety and Justice. Today, I'm here for DPR because public safety and recreation are not separate issues. They are the same issue. DPR programming is good. The problem is the gap with the scale and the access in the programming. Washington, D.C. has nearly 100,000 students in public and charter schools. The D.C. auditor confirmed that DPR summer camps serve approximately 4,000 campers across roughly 8,000 total slots. That's 4% reach rate. We're planning summer programming for 100,000 children and serving 4,000 of them. Families enter a lottery and most of them lose. That's poor execution and that's poor planning. We publish enrollment data every year. We know how many children need summer programming. The question is whether DPR is resourced and directed to meet that demand, or whether we accept a 4% reach as normal. As you can clearly understand, that 4% capacity against actual demand is not sustainable for the future of DC. The recreation center hours are our second issue. I've testified before the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee on truancy and on juvenile curfew and on gun violence. In every hearing, the same gap comes up. We do not have enough rec centers open during the hours when young people are at most risk. Chairwoman Louis George, the City Council introduced the Teen Center Establishment Amendment Act after extensive community input. I was a part of that input. The community told the City Council what they need. Recreation centers open from 10 p.m. up until 10 p.m. so young people have a safe place to be in the evening hours. We strongly believe that recreation is a proactive and positive way of life for our young people. I am a product of that recreation. I really believe in that. Young people hang out at other community events up until 10 p.m. and beyond because recreation centers are closed. We're criminalizing them for having nowhere to go, and we have yet to provide them an outlet for that. Recreation centers close at 6 p.m. while several other community events run until 1 a.m. The legislation supports our ask, and we urge you all to implement this legislation as soon as possible. We testified, the community testified, and we're looking forward to the change to help our young people. The next item is the support for partner-ready youth programming. I started the 3D CACT Street Public Safety Task Force around Cleveland Elementary School here in Ward 1. On Tuesday night, the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety and Justice Safe Passage Coordinator, Passage Ambassador, surveyed 263 students, and all 263 students said they feel safer with ambassadors present. However, the safe passage ends when the school day ends, and there are gaps and critical gaps between that passage program and of course having them help them to recreation centers. We believe that it's necessary to have safe passage to the recreation centers so that the students can go further. I'm in my testimony there, but I'm open for questions because I have further information to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Checking to see if Patricia Reardon King, is Patricia here? I don't see Patricia. Okay. Checking to see if Aaron Rosebar is here. All right, I do not see either of them. Okay. No. Okay, well, thank you so much to this panel of witnesses. Max, thank you for sharing DPR's scorecard. I'm looking forward to reviewing the full report. We heard earlier that really no agency is doing a good enough job at implementing the green food purchasing law. Given we can't look inwards, I'm curious about if and how other jurisdictions are achieving these goals. Is that something that you've looked into? Your report will have at the end for future recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. And while DC writ large is increasing emissions, there are other agencies that are moving forward. DCPS is taking several initiatives to make shifts in their food purchasing that are small but noteworthy. And DYRS is one of the agencies that has included the green food language from DOE in their contracts with food vendors. So those are some places just with our neighbors and sister agencies that we can start.
Okay. And given implementation for this law is largely through procurement, I'm curious on if the Office of Contracting and Procurement has a role in our lack of progress. Have you all spoken to Councilmember Nadeau's team about this at all?
Yeah, it's a great question. We actually see the Food Policy Council playing a really important role in this. And you may know that there's the Food Policy Council Procurement Act that is being considered, and we'll hopefully have a hearing next month, and we'll relate to this.
Great. Okay, thank you all. We look forward to being invited to the rollout of the report and being present and learning some more there, and appreciate just the impactful work you all are doing and continuing to collect this data so that we can achieve better as a district. Tisha, I wanted to ask you, you ran down a number of items. I can't believe we're still waiting for the shade for the playground. I feel like we've been trying to get that shade for about 5 years. Well, at least for me, the last 5 years. It could be longer for you all. So that's one of the ones. I wondered with some of the remaining items, have they let you know whether it's a funding issue or a agency contract or capacity issue or delays in procurement? Have they given you any reasons for some of the delays that have been occurring in that regard?
It sounds like, thank you for that question, actually. It sounds like it's a little bit of delay in procurement and delay in finding a contractor for the procurement. I forget the gentleman, what's his name, Kishan Putta. The point he made about, be aware, you might be awarded something or told that something is approved, but it'll take forever. And by the time they start trying to find someone or have found someone, the work cost has doubled, and we know that. just in our own lives, trying to, get things done. So yeah, I think that was the case by the time it finally, because I know we were talking about it, like you said, 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, they were like, oh yeah, we'll be able to do this. And then now we're 2026 and I believe they found a contractor, but I don't know what has happened after finding the contractor. I assume the cost is doubled or changed in some way. And so now they're just struggling about, but we do have a wards 3 and 4 DPR ready to play group, the capital projects group with Brent Cisco and Tommy Jones and the like, today at 6. So I'm hoping there's some more information shared in regards to what's happening with that. But the last time was supposedly spring 2025 to summer 2025. And here we are about to be in spring 2026.
Yeah.
No sunshade.
Yeah. And then what was, so they are, you all will, the field, what was the timeline on the beginning of that field?
So what I'm really confused about with the field is they've had, according to the workers there, they've had people out assessing the field, and we're trying to put together an event for May, the end of May, and they told us that they might be tearing up the field by then. I feel like they've got more information than they've been sharing, and that's just my personal assessment. I could be incorrect, but I'm hearing pieces of a story, and I just want real facts about the field, and we want a community meeting. In regards to, like, we had another project in the Ward 4 and 5 side, the park there. We've had 3 or 4 community meetings. I think we have another one coming up. We've had no community meetings in regards to this field, and they're already out there assessing the field and talking about having it torn up possibly by the time we have our event, which we wanted to have on the field. So therefore, we don't know anything except what they tell us, and then there's nothing, been no renderings, we're just getting words from that Ward 3 and 4 group that's doing the capital projects. But we haven't had any meetings.
I would love to see a design, and I know we wanted to put the track around it, so I don't know if the current design even includes the track, and if the field can be put in before the track, or those things had to be done simultaneously.
So Brent had sent a picture. He basically said there wasn't enough budgeting for the track around the field, but he sent a picture of something that would be synonymous, that looked like it was a track on the side of the field, but it was like a strip of blue. And he never elaborated further with that. And like I said, there's been no community discussions. So I don't even know. And I really, I won't say but we really had interest in a track on that field.
Especially for the seniors to be able to walk around, which is
exactly, that was the first motivation. Yes.
That's right. We have a number of seniors who want to be able to walk around that track.
And they have to go all the way to Turkey Thicket or, somewhere else to do so.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. I'm hoping, what I hope doesn't happen is they say we need additional budget funding, which we'll fund and provide, but I don't want that to delay the project any longer. So I think we just got to figure out whether the field can be put down and then a track can come afterwards. So,
right.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll again continue to work together to get some clear answers on and some clear timelines on where we are. David, thank you for your testimony and having me in your home for a gathering of neighbors and DPR about the Bryce Harper Field lights. We are expecting GGS study and proposal of the lights and pre-hearing questions. And we'll make sure you get those results and the answers to our pre-hearing questions, should I say. Another witness also testified earlier. I don't know if you had a chance to hear about the environmental, health, and fiscal costs of running these outdoor field lights. DPR has an internal light policy, but given how these issues are so common across the district, we are considering whether a field light policy needs to be established in statute or regulations as a committee. Do you think doing so would give better clarity to neighbors about what is and isn't allowed and how issues need to be addressed?
I do, and I will say also that the Dark Sky DC group that worked with Dolores, Ms. Dolores,
That's right,
mentioned earlier today. that she worked with establishing these voluntary policy, I think their goal would be to have such a standard in place in regulation or law as well. And I just, thank you, by the way, for coming by our house. It was delightful to have you. And I just can't say enough good things about your staff either. They're just wonderful people, and I really appreciate what they've done for us in the area here.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask, have you all as a community gotten the latest updates? We asked those questions about, we have put funding in to renovate Tacoma Recreation locker room, which has been outdated for a number of years. Originally, neighbors thought that it was going to be a part of the original renovation of the pool and the roof. It was not. And so we ended up having to fund an additional renovation for that. We want to make sure that the renovation is one that, community members won't walk in like they did after the pool and be like, wait, nothing happened here. So I just want to know, if the community been engaged on the design of the modernization and renovation of the locker room?
Not to my knowledge. We're sort of getting ourselves reorganized here a little bit, so
Okay.
it could be that we missed the opportunity. It's
Okay.
kind of what I was referencing earlier, though, when I said there's significant changes that happen in the park that they seem to, the notice goes up one day and the activities starts the next. So,
Yeah, we just want to get you all engaged. We put funding in. It's been years since the project was supposed to happen a year and a half ago. And so we just want to make sure, as you know, so many residents use our pools and they want locker rooms that have showers that have curtains, showers that have shower heads that works, lockers that are not from the 1950s.
my family was an avid user of the pool. I know that I know the conditions well. So yeah, it's good news. It's good news. I just, if you can, if DPR can engage the community and we can be kind of have an actual partnership, a meaningful partnership,
yeah,
that makes these things work so much better. And
right.
That's what we're trying to build towards. I don't think we're been there for the last few years in Tacoma, but that's the goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's tons of work around Tacoma. I'm glad the organization is reorganizing to do some of the work, because there's a number of different projects in that large space that we will need more community engagement and support around. So look forward to working with you all. And again, as soon as we get the answers from our pre-hearing questions around the lights, we're gonna share those with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Karen, I want to thank you for your service on the CAC and the work that you do with our Metropolitan Police Department, first and foremost. And then I wanted to talk to you, mentioned the gaps in the Safe Passage program, particularly to recreation centers. Why is this important, and what have agencies' responses been to creating corridors between schools and recreation centers? And what how can we implement that for a better impact on our community?
Well, based on my research, and this is just my personal research, and I have not seen that particular segue, and I saw that as a gap, because we often want our young people to utilize the recreation centers. However, on their way from school, that's one issue that they've tackled up until 4 p.m. And then after that, when the recreation centers are open until 6 p.m., but we're hoping that they can extend a little bit longer, as I indicated in my testimony, until 10 p.m. I have not seen that Safe Passage program work from the schools to the recreation center, when most young people are still involved. They have their after school activities, and some of them need a little bit more support to do their homework and places to land in order to be comfortable, so they can get everything together for their next day and going to school, and even for the summertime. And we're constantly talking about increased use of the recreation centers, because they're beautiful facilities. I'm a sidebar for Mr. Donaldson. I used to go to Tacoma Rec when I was little, and I mean, I've seen that. I can't believe they're still looking like that. But anyway, I think that the having our young people go to the recreation centers, use all these beautiful facilities, take advantage of all the programming, but they want to do it safely. I hate to say that they need escorts at all time, but we want our people to be safe. We want to have the atmosphere around the recreation centers in a safe place. And I can give you some insights on why those lights are still on at some of these recreation centers, because I can tell you MPD makes a constant request for those lights to stay on because they believe that it helps with the public safety. So I know that a lot of, and I've been in so many meetings where I can tell you that they ask specifically for the lights to stay on. So if you guys are running into those roadblocks, I can tell you it's normally because of public safety issues. So I hope I helped you resolve that one little problem that I heard everybody. I mean, I did not know so many people were saying we want the lights off. If I knew that, I mean, I could have helped you at the beginning of your conversations on that one. But that's it. There's no one doing any work to take the children from their schools to the next place you know. I think that that's necessary. And then also there was a third thing that I didn't have a chance to talk about during my testimony, was the streamlining the DPR's partnership process for community organizations. There's a lot of innovative organizations who want to join the DPR programming, but they're having you ask 5 permit questions, where the permit issues coming in. These a lot of the people who really are having problems navigating that whole permit process, I've found that a lot of organizations, they've reported it. We have some new organizations through one of the ANCs that I'm a part of. They're ready to partner and deliver youth programming. However, DPR's response was to file a permit, and they need to have those permit processes easier. And we're just trying to get more activation of our at-youth programming, our at-risk programming available in the DPR facilities in the evening times when we normally see our young people out and about, so they can have some good places to go with people who truly know how to work with them in the evening times when they really, really need it. We have a martial arts offering that one of our partners is trying to do, and then we have a lot of organizations who specifically work with young people from ages 13 and up who really want to do some work within the DPR programming that's different from the normal programming that they receive in the community partnership. So that's it. I appreciate having a chance to talk with you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I want to thank this entire panel of witnesses for your testimony, and remind people to please upload your testimony to our hearing management system. DPR's responses to the committee's pre-hearing oversight questions are expected on Friday, February 20th. And so we're looking forward to getting those responses. Hopefully they will address some of the information that has been raised today, even in those responses that you all will be able to access as well. And for those who I have specifically said we would send answers to you, our facilities team is going to email you directly some of the answers that we receive from DPR to your questions. So we look forward to continuing to do that. I know there was one more, Patricia Reardon King, who wanted to testify on this panel but didn't get a chance to. Patricia, just want to give you one last opportunity. If you accept being a panelist, we will allow you to testify before we close out the hearing.
Feel better soon, Councilmember.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
May I just respond real quick to the statement?
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, since it may be inappropriate, but I just want to make clear that we don't want the lights off. We just want them directed to the appropriate place for the appropriate use. I think that's an important distinction when you talk about the issue of public safety. Anyway, forgive my interruption, but
Yeah, no, it's actually it's really really helpful, Mr. Donaldson. And the reason why I say I'm actually happy. This is my and all of the things that I hear. This is my first time really hearing this particular subject matter. So I'm really really happy to hear it. So I'm actually going to probably reach out to you and the other members who came in to talk about this, because that's one of the things that in all of the public safety spaces, no one ever complains about the lights. And I like hearing this point of view, because but when you're saying directed, in what direction, if it's pointed towards the field and it's permeating towards your house, or what's, especially if you're across the street from it, what's going on?
Right. There's ways for lights to be directed and to the using shielding or newer light technology that would light the intended purpose. So the baseball field, for example. But the current older style lights at Tacoma light the entire neighborhood, and especially with the addition of these two particular lights. There's other examples like the Ellington Field, which was mentioned. That doesn't create light trespass, it's called, in the neighborhood in Georgetown, because they use the appropriate technology. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Thank you, Councilmember.
No, thank you. No, I appreciate the dialogue.
But Councilmember Lewis, George, here's the thing. I can see, I've gone through a lot of neighborhoods where the street lighting is so dark on these streets, and so and I think that's an imbalance. And I'm always trying to work with DDOT to get the lights changed. However, this is the first time I'm hearing this, and I will make sure where there are recreation centers, because we have several in our area. I'll definitely do some surveying and ask the community how they feel about it. Because I do like this type of input. And Mr. Donaldson, you were not out of order. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting both you and Mr. Max Broad, and of course you, Councilmember Louis George. And I'm saying good luck. And anyway, feel better, and have a beautiful and blessed day, everyone. Thank you
so much. Patricia, are you still with us? You can unmute, Patricia. You're closing us out. Want to make sure. There we go.
Hello. Oh, thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
I just want to talk about. First, I want to thank you for this opportunity. That lighting, I want to kind of piggyback. I've been to a lot of the recreation centers, and it is for safety reasons. And I'm one of those people who request that the lights be on for people walking a Lamont Riggs, not Riggs LaSalle, Dean Wood, several of the one over Riggs, Lamont Riggs, several of the recreation centers. It's so dark. People get off work late. That lighting helps for safety reasons for people to be able to come and go from work to and from work. So it's helpful at night to have those lights on. If they can fix them so they can just shine on the field, but it's lighting, it would be great. But my main concern was the field usage. I do a lot of volunteering over the years. We've volunteered and helped me, my sister, with kickball, the fun activity, with youth. They even had the program. I work with DPR during the pandemic with their teen kickball league that they had. Me and my son worked on that. But the thing that the main thing I wanted to address was the usage of the fields space, because everybody like myself can't afford to pay for that field usage time. But to allow people to use it as DC residents, to carve out some special time for the citizens in the community to use those fields. And of course, we want the folks to come in and do it. But my thing was maybe we could like commingle those people who use the field, like the frisbee people, the rugby people down in Southwest. They used to do the rugby. Have those people for an hour or so to work with the kids. It'll be great exposure for city kids to work with those kids for that hour or so, to expose them to that type of sport so that they can stay active and fit. We often do that with our kickball program. That we the kids come in, they learn it. A lot of the kids, like I said, in my write-up, they're have grown up. They're in college. They're working. Some have went to the military, but they're playing pretty much professional kickball because these students from DC public schools have now been on ESPN kickball and representing the DMV, and they're like national champs, well sought after people from all over. We've helped these kids through small fundraising, travel to different places, Arizona, Utah, um, Kentucky, just playing kickball, and kids love it. That was something we played in elementary school. I'm much older, but I still coach it because I love it. And my doctor says, keep doing it. It keeps you healthy. It's another form of keeping our community active. And parents can play too. We have 40 and over leagues now. You know, Volo, DC Fray, all of them have kickball, but the kids like it too. So we've started, it's kickball, but I want to really push it in the DC recreation centers. There's another activity for kids, and it's like it's volunteering. It's hard to get a little carve out space to do those things that kids still enjoy, unless you have money, you have big donors. I don't have that. I have my time and the ability to teach something that I love and I know other kids love. So I just asking for a little time to be carved out for me and a lot of other community people who want to just help. And yes, and people mentioned the process for the DC grants. I tried to submit, found out about it late last year. This year was so much to do when I got in the system trying to apply for the grants to get assistance just to help be able just to pay for the field. It seems like it's kind of difficult. And I go to the recreation centers and ask the folks, can we use the field space? That happens sometimes, but it doesn't. So I'm just want to carve out a space and a time to be able to work with kids. I don't mind going to different recreation centers. So I think it should be shared all over the city because it's a growing sport, just like the other sports, pickleball, um, so many others. I'm sorry. That's all I have to say. I just want to be on record for that. And I hope you can consider help. And I'm sure there's other sports out there too. Consider carving out some time just for the community, just for the kids to be out there playing. I've seen witness the kids have to get off the field, but they're just hanging out. They're just running around like we did when we were younger in the city at the recreation center.
Right.
They have to get off the fields. And where they go? Out on the streets, in the alleys, on the corners. But we have these big old fields that's underused. Even the recreation centers themselves, some of the smaller ones, they have a big old gym. Everybody doesn't want to play basketball. Some of the kids just like free dancing and they just in the recreation center in the open area by the registration desk. And they're just in Southwest DC. They're just down there hanging out because people are playing basketball in the gym. So they can't get in the gym. Somebody may be in a little community room. How come we didn't build up more the recreation center so we can have those extra community rooms like you have at Chevy Chase Community Center, Soaring Room, the auditorium room? You know, they have more of a facility with different classrooms, and a lot of the other recreation centers don't have that. They just have one gym. And I think that is so unfortunate that most of them have been built out for gyms and kids like to dance and they can be creative if they have that space. We have people, I can be teaching them sewing, how to crochet, but it's not enough space in certain recreation centers. Some have a lot of space, but the kids can't get to it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for putting this.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And appreciate that input. And I see some people in the chat offering as well to reach out and support as well. So I'm glad that those connections are being made. A reminder that the final deadline to submit written testimony is 5 p.m. on Thursday, March 19th. But please do so before the government witness hearing on Thursday, March 3rd, so that we can make sure your answers to questions are asked at the March 3rd hearing. Remember, you can upload your testimony to the council's hearing management system or email facilities@dccouncil.gov. This concludes today's public witness portion of the performance oversight hearing for the Department of Parks and Recreation. The time is 12:59 p.m. and this hearing is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
I don't know how to get out of